This meeting of the Brick Township Council to order. Madam Clerk?
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on January 7, 2020. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspaper, posted on public bulletin boards in the township website.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please silence or turn off your cell phones. Roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Here.
Councilman Menachino.
Here.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilman Momolo.
Present.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Here.
Vice President Halloran.
Here.
President Crate.
Here.
Thank you.
I'd like to please call up the Girl Scouts Junior Group number 263 to help lead us in the flag salute and also a moment of silence. Girls ready? Ready? Go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good job, girls. Madam Clerk, please accept and file all reports.
Yes, I will.
Can I get a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the January 28th meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Motion from Councilwoman Zapsik, second from Councilman Menachino. Roll call?
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Menachino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Momolo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call up the mayor and Councilwoman DeYoung to recognize the girls' bowling team.
Since its opening in 1980, the student athletes of Brick Memorial High School have established a tradition of success in a variety of sports, including football, wrestling, bowling, baseball, and more, as evidenced by the many banners, trophies, and plaques that adorn the wall and trophy cases in the school. This past season, the Brick Memorial girls bowling team added their own chapter, as well as a number of trophies, to the Mustangs' storied history. The Mustangs, under the leadership of head coach David Thompson, had an exceptional year on the lanes, winning 7 of the 13 tournaments they competed in, capturing the Shore Conference title, the Central Jersey Group 3 title, and the overall Group 3 championship. The season culminated in the Mustangs capturing the NJSIAA Tournament of Champions title by defeating the Toms River North High School Mariners in the 5th and deciding game of the tournament final. For all of these reasons, I, John G. Ducey, the mayor of the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, in recognition of their outstanding season and in honor of their capturing the 2020 NJSIAA Tournament of Champions crown, making them the top team in New Jersey, that's what that means, do hereby proclaim tomorrow, Wednesday, March 11th, 2020, to be Brick Memorial High School Girls Bowling Team Day.
And in honor of the contributions of the Brick Memorial High School Mustangs girls bowling team, they had an exception 2019 and 2020 season that culminated in their winning at the NJSIAA Tournament of Champions. And we have, the council has certificate of commendations for Emily here. Emily here. Butcher your last name, Erica Cucurullo. Thank you so much. Sure.
My name is David Thompson, and I've been the
Brick Memorial girls bowling coach for over a decade, and in that time we have had a very, very successful run, but no time have we ever been as successful as this team was this year. And the only additional comment that I'd like to share with you is that after the season was over, I had many coaches come up and say to me, not how good, not what kind of bowlers I had, but what kind of girls I had. They complimented me on the team. And I got to tell you, compliments to the parents and the community. They are fantastic girls. Thank you.
So congratulations to the entire team. I have another proclamation. This past season, the Brick Memorial High School girls bowling team took their rightful spot as the best team in the state of New Jersey by virtue of their victory in the Tournament of Champions. One of the bowlers who made invaluable contributions to the team was freshman Leah Varela, who served as the anchor for the team during the season and throughout the postseason tournaments. In addition to her contributions to the team's success, Leah won the NJSIAA individual tournament held at Bolero in New Brunswick by defeating her opponent by the score of 224 to 220. Leah, whose state championship score of 224 was 31 pins more than the title-winning amount for the boys tournament. It earned her a spot in the finals by knocking down 1,352 pins in the qualifying rounds, which was 60 more than the next highest total. For all of these reasons, I, John G. Ducey, the mayor of the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean in the state of New Jersey, do hereby proclaim Thursday, March 12th, 2020, to be Leah Varela Day.
Of women's. Yeah, this is pretty significant. Thank you. Yeah, wow, they got jackets too. Look at that. Yeah, I know. I like those shirts. Oh, were you?
Who's doing it after me? I'm by myself. Totally by myself. I would appreciate that.
We'll sit with you.
Thank you. No. Look, he's got a whole row, a whole row, and I'm here by myself.
I'm here.
The thin blue line.
I'm here, Joanne. I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here for you.
All right, now we're on to our budget presentations, and we are going to start with Ms. Bergen with the administration budget.
Thank you very much, Council President Crate. On behalf of all the department and division heads represented in this report, thanks to our mayor and members of the Township Council for your ongoing support. I will go through the division budgets that are included under administration. There are 11 budgets and hundreds of line items. Most of the budget line items have remained the same. In my presentation, I will provide a brief overview of what each department does and address variances in operating and salary and wage budgets. I'll first start with administration. Administration staff includes 6 full-time employees. Administration is the front line for all in-person and telephone inquiries that come to the township. For example, in 2019, the staff handled 35,000 telephone calls. They also track and ensure follow-up on all email inquiries that come through the website. In 2019, we handled 39,928 cases through our Citizens Relations Management System. Public relations, marketing, and special events are also handled by administration, including monitoring and updating the township website and social media sites, including Facebook and Twitter, preparation and dissemination of press releases, and oversight of Brick Township's PEG channel, BTV. We have won several awards for our efforts to keep the public informed. Our work includes creating and posting bulletin board slides and preparing and posting all content, creating advertisements and promotional materials for various departments, preparing and disseminating email updates from the township, photography at township events, and the continued implementation of a seamless document program for online forums. Staff also manages the Buy and Brick program, which continues to grow and benefit our taxpayers. We now have 74 businesses enrolled in the program, which is up 6 from 2017, including attrition, businesses that have closed and/or dropped out of the program. Buy and Brick has over 6,100 households registered and 9,680 individuals registered. There was $1,127,056 Buy and Brick sales, which are dollars processed in 2009. Resident tax savings in 2019 was $71,414, which is up $8,505 from 2018. That's an increase of 13.5%. Administrative staff also assist in events such as the Green Fair. Administration also manages constituent relations and publications such as advertisements, promotional materials, recycling brochures, event flyers, and any other publications as needed. Administration manages the design and content of our recreation brochure and senior booklet, reducing the overall cost by bringing this work in-house. Administration staff also provide support to municipal boards and committees. The next budget I'll discuss are Mayor's Office and Council. The Office of the Mayor includes our mayor and 2 full-time staff members. Mayor Ducey maintains office hours each week. His active schedule includes regular meetings with groups and organizations within town, and he hosts many initiatives to engage the public, such as the tremendously popular Facebook Live and regular attendance at council meetings. The Mayor's Teen Advisory Committee continues to engage young adults in activities, and through Lounge 270, a place for teens to connect with peers and mentors in a safe, positive environment. He continues to meet regularly with the Senior Advisory Committee and readily accepts all invitations to speak at older adult communities, social service organizations, schools, businesses, and wherever else he is invited. He promotes the town's interest and advocates for our needs at the state and federal level. The mayor participates in the Ocean County Mayors Association, the New Jersey League of Municipalities, and the New Jersey Conference of Mayors. The salary and wage budget for the mayor's office increased by $17,000 as a new staff member fills 3 roles, 2 of which were previously handled by outside consultants. Overall, combining them into one position is more effective, efficient, and presents a cost savings to the township. Operating expenses have decreased by $5,000 from last year as a result of a reduction in cost for printing and binding based on last year's actual expenditures. In terms of the council's budget, the salary and wage budget remains flat. The operating budget for the council totals $2,290, which is down 8.4% from last year as a result of a decrease in the printing and binding line item based on actual expenditures last year. The council budget includes items like conferences, flowers for special events, plaques, nameplates, letterhead, business cards, presentation folders, publications, and miscellaneous office supplies. Council members are very active in strategic planning and have working subcommittees including redevelopment and recreation, land use, public works, public safety, and business and finance. They regularly attend community events and represent the township at a variety of events and activities. The next report is for our purchasing department. The Office of Purchasing and Contracting is a division within the Department of Administration and Finance. It is the responsibility of the Division of Purchasing and Contracting to conduct all purchasing, the acquisition of all goods and services in accordance with the applicable laws under the state of New Jersey, more specifically NJSIAA 40A-11-1, the local public contracts law. The Purchasing Department overall budget for 2020 increased $755 from the 2019 budget due to increases in membership dues for various organizations. 2019, the purchasing office processed approximately 5,200 purchase orders, 30 bids for goods and services, 22 professional services requests for proposals, 14 capital budget projects, 53 formal requests for quotes, and 5 auctions for IT equipment, via phones, public works vehicles, police and forfeited vehicles, solar, and Class 1 renewable energy certificates. The above tasks were accomplished by an office staff of 4. This office also oversees the central receiving mailroom, which includes 1 additional staff member. The mail clerk has processed over 95,000 pieces of mail, plus delivery to the post office for bulk mail projects, which include newsletters, delinquent notices, neighborhood watch mailings, etc. He delivers mail packages and supplies throughout the complex and all off-site location. He manages the central receiving and stockroom. Postage encompasses 92% of the purchasing budget and includes postage for all department and divisions' outgoing mail, mailing of property tax bills, which is homestead benefit, adjusted bills for the second quarter, estimated third quarter, final tax bills, and added omitted assessment tax bills. Delinquent tax notices mailed after each quarter, tax sale notices, post-tax year income statements, tax assessment notification, township newsletter, certified and registered mail, regular priority, and overnight postage. 3 staff members are certified in the area of public procurement through Rutgers Educational Program. 1 member is currently enrolled in the same program and will finish the series of classes this year. Certifications are required to be maintained through continuing education by attending conferences and seminars. 1 new member of the staff will be starting the program in May. This office purchases and stocks frequently requested office materials and supplies by all departments. Items are purchased off the state, county, and Stafford Township Cooperative Program contracts. On a quarterly basis, the purchases are totaled and charged back to each department budget. Human Resources is next. The HR department, comprised of 6 full-time employees, manages all township employees, currently 431 full-time and 178 part-time seasonal. During the summer months, they coordinate all hiring and employee management for the approximate 150 additional employees. They create and institute HR policies and maintain compliance with state and federal laws. The salary and wage budget for HR increased by 3%, with a 17% increase in the operating budget, specifically doctor's fees for new hire physicals, psychological exams, fit for duty exams, CDL physicals, random drug screens, post-accident testing, and the Employee Assistance Program. HR handles employee training, including safety, the Employee Assistance Program, and other workplace trainings. All health benefits are handled by Human Resources. They coordinate with our brokers for contract proposals, renewals, rate changes, fee submissions, and compliance with federal guidelines. They handle required reporting as well as resolving claims issues. They process all liability claims with our insurance company and ensure compliance with safety regulations and vendor insurance. Highlights and accomplishments in 2019 include continued biannual claims reviews, completed contract negotiations, anti-harassment training for all employees, retirement preparation training, the launching of several wellness initiatives, including team activity challenges and several fitness challenges. Special projects for 2020 include transition for our safety officer, HR data consolidation, supervisor training, the implementation of exit interviews, and the development of a new employee orientation program. The next department for discussion is the Office of the Township Clerk.
Yay.
The clerk's office is comprised of 6 staff members, 2 of whom hold registered municipal clerk certifications, and a third has begun the classes to obtain that certification as well. 3 staff members are certified municipal registrars, and a 4th is beginning classes for that certification this year. Every staff member is a notary public, and 1 staff member is fluent in English and Spanish. The Division of Archives has a staff of 3 full-time employees, an archivist who holds state and federal records management certification, and 2 clerks. 1 staff member is assigned to police records and is working on a large scanning project for the police department. The Township Clerk's office includes various licensing that collected $878,293.51 in 2019, and vital statistics, which includes all records of births, deaths, and marriages, collected $54,420. The operating for the budget for the clerk's office totals $42,771, which is down 7.5% from what was appropriated last year, with expert services being one of the largest line items. The Township Archivist plans to take on another major back file imaging project this year involving payroll records. We do not have the resources to do this project in-house, and we have secured a contract with RICO USA, who is in U.S. Communities National Cooperative Program. That project was scheduled for last year, but an overwhelming amount of closed-out building permits required that to become precedent. Advertising and codification of the Township Code is also a significant part of the budget. Legislation is what drives those line items. The operating budget for elections is the printing and mailing of the sample ballot for the primary election, a service that is provided by the county clerk but is paid by the township. That is unchanged from last year. Next is our finance department, which consists of 6 full-time employees, 2 of whom are dedicated to payroll. The Finance Payroll Department creates and signs all purchase orders. There were 5,191 created in 2019. Checks, 4,168 in claims and manuals, and payroll checks, 16,156 were created in 2019. They create the current, temporary, and adopted, and capital fund budgets, post budgets at the beginning of the year, and do all transfers and closeout procedures at year end, creating all personal resolutions to process. Staff confirms receivable to tax reports, ties general ledger appropriation and reserves to budget reports, balances all interfunds, keeps a cash flow analysis monthly, and ties all cash receipts and disbursements in an entry Excel books to posted reports. They send out the W-9s and the W-2s at year end, keep a township fixed asset inventory that is added to or deleted from as needed. They create cancellation resolution for grants, create Chapter 159s as needed, and enter all new grants into Edmonds. At this time, there are 44 open grants. Our CFO analyzes money in the capital budget to keep track of when a band sale is needed and when to roll into bonds. She creates supplemental debt statements, creates cancellation resolutions when needed, inputs capital chargebacks, creates and signs all certificates of availability of funds, and enters all new capital ordinance into Edmonds. At this time, there are 31 open ordinances. Staff performs 40 bank reconciliations monthly, analyzes approximately 919 open escrow accounts, analyzes 170 electric accounts, 56 water sewer accounts, 22 natural gas accounts, and 26 telecommunication accounts monthly. Staff completes all aspects of payroll processing, inputting payroll into Edmonds, making changes to employees' files that will need to be reflected in the salary and wage line items such as yearly increases, longevity steps, etc., healthcare contributions, pensions, direct deposit information, court subpoena garnishments, etc. Township is able to maintain its Moody Financial Services AA2 rating on all of its bonds, long-term financing issues during 2019, based on its financial strength and fiscal practices, as well as M1G1 rating on its notes, which is short-term financing, which is the highest rating offered by Moody's. In addition, the township maintained its bond rating from Standard & Poor's of AA. This allows the township to borrow and issue its debt at the best possible rate, which saves the taxpayers interest costs year in and year out while addressing the capital needs of the township to maintain infrastructure and maintain service level to our residents. Next up is data processing, otherwise known as IT. The IT department consists of 6 full-time employees, and they support approximately 70 servers, including 30 virtual servers, over 500 PCs, laptops, and tablets, 144 smartphones, plus 13 other cellular devices, over 200 printers, including the e-ticket printers and police vehicles, more than 30 scanners and copiers. They currently manage 105 security cameras at 13 different locations with 4 more parks, and more than 30 additional cameras being included additionally at Ocean Beach 3 and Town Hall. They maintain 4 high availability environments, that is including but not limited to the police dispatch system, email server, file servers, Edmonds, Alchemy, NetMotion, VPN servers, township websites, CRM, RFA system, and more. These high availability environments greatly reduce downtime. The township has more than 40 systems used by the different departments at Town Hall. The IT department completes software updates on all township servers and keeps all desktop computers current with a 5-year replacement schedule. We are currently in the process of upgrading our email and CRM systems to the latest versions. The IT department is also in the process of installing and planning the infrastructure needed for security cameras at Hank Waltonowski Park, Bayside Park, Cedar Bridge Manor Park, and Pinewood Park, as well as additional and replacement cameras at Drum Point Sports Complex, Town Hall, Freddie Park, and Arrowhead Park. Herbertsville and Burning Cook Park are the latest security camera installations to be completed. The salary and wage budget increased slightly based on actual overtime expenditures. The operating budget increased 3.2% based on actual expenditures in the computer software line item. The next report covers both tax collector and tax assessor. Tax office duties and responsibility are directed pursuant to state statutes, specifically Title 54. Our levy for 2019 was in excess of $236 million with a 98.73% rate of collection. The total collected was a lot. I'm tired of numbers, right? No, I'm teasing. So specifics are addressed in the tax collector's annual report, which is available for anyone interested in reading that. Salary and wage line item decreased 2.3% due to the internal promotion of current staff members as opposed to hiring new personnel subsequent to retirements. The operating expense budget request totals $46,850, an increase of $2,600 from 2019. This is our first time in 5 years we have increased the tax collector operating budget and is the direct result of the cost to produce tax bills, envelopes, delinquent notices, and required forms. During 2019, the tax collector's office collected more than $240 million, including $2.39 million in cash, $129.6 million in checks, and $108.4 million in electronic payments. They sent out approximately 15,000 delinquent notices, completed 2,965 property tax reimbursement applications, handled more than 20,000 telephone inquiries, and processed $273,240 in appeals, collected $25,000 in property maintenance charges, and sold 784 garbage and recycling cans. We also received a final judgment of an in-rem foreclosure. Tax Assessor's Office, with a staff of 8, oversees almost 32,000 residential and 810 commercial properties with a total assessed value of over $10.3 billion. Last year, they placed more than $66 million of added assessed value on our tax list. Part of their responsibilities includes not only maintaining a record of the specifics about a property, but also monitoring any deed recordings to ensure that any changes in ownership are made in our public record. Implementing any changes to the tax map is also the duty of the Tax Assessor's Office. Brick Township has almost 3,100 residents receiving senior citizen or veteran property tax deductions, which they also manage on behalf of the Division of Taxation on a yearly basis. Salary and wage budget for the tax assessor budget decreased 1.2%, and the operating budget increased 10%. The conference, convention, education, and travel line item increased to cover continuing education costs for the township's 2 certified tax assessors and education for new hires. Classes range in cost from $776 to $1,400 for each class. The expert services line item also increased as a result of anticipated costs for statutory mailings, including Chapter 75 postcards, tax appeal appraisal services, and tax maps GIS updates. Seniors. The Brick Senior Center provides services to a growing population of older adults and families within our community. The Senior Center offers a variety of programs encouraging a healthy lifestyle through exercise, dance, art, and providing numerous opportunities to socialize in a welcoming environment. Staff includes 4 full-time outreach workers, 4 part-time employees, and 1 program director, providing advocacy, information, and assistance applying to various social service programs. For homebound elderly, staff conducts home visits to determine eligibility for those social service programs. There are 2 full-time bus drivers and 1 part-time dispatcher for our senior bus shuttle. The salary and wage budget increased by $46,000, and the operating budget increased less than 0.5%. Brick Senior Services and Senior Center is located off-site at the VFW building on Adamson Road. According to the current data from the Census Bureau, 19.7% of the population in Brick Township is age 65 or older. In 2019, Brick Services provided services to over 3,200 seniors and family caregivers. Brick Seniors provided services to 270 family caregivers and approximately 3,000 older adults. They delivered 2,463 counseling units during in-home visits or at the Senior Center. Additionally, 1,730 seniors attended various activities and programs. Staff provided 220 medical transportation trips to 23 seniors, made 7,186 wellness calls to 41 homebound seniors, and provided follow-up evaluations to over 150 elderly homebound residents receiving Meals on Wheels. Overall, staff addressed 10,443 calls and provided approximately 42,000 units of service in all categories and had a cumulative total of 18,984 attendees to all events. Brick Senior Services received $135,100 in Title 3B and 3E grant funding from the Ocean County Board of Chosen Freeholders. Mid-year, we received an additional $10,000 in 3B grant funding for our senior outreach program and an additional $4,846 towards our National Caregiver Support Program, bringing our total award in 2019 to $149,946. In addition, in 2019, we received $18,128 in donations. These funds are used to offset the costs involved in providing services to our seniors. The last report is for the municipal court. The Brick Municipal Court is the second largest of the 33 municipal courts in Ocean County. Annual filings for 2019 were 15,559, which is an increase from 2018 of 1,354 filings. This number consists of filings not only from the Brick Police Department, but also the State Police, the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office, Division of Fish and Wildlife, Department of Weights and Measures, Marine Police, Animal Control, Code Enforcement, Zoning, Building, and private citizens for any incidents occurring in Brick Township. Court sessions are held the first, second, and third Monday at 9 a.m., with the exception of the second Monday, which is at 9:30. Every Wednesday at 9 a.m. and every Thursday at 4 p.m. Mediation sessions are held every fourth Monday of each month at 4 p.m. The second Monday, 9:30 a.m. court session is for code enforcement violations only. In 2020, we project holding 142 court sessions. This total includes 11 mediation sessions and 11 code enforcement violation sessions. The current staff consists of a court administrator, 2 deputy court administrators, and 7 additional staff members, along with the municipal court judge. The court salary and wage budget decreased 2.8% as a result of continued reduction in overtime costs, and the operating budget decreased as well due to a reduction in the request for office supplies. This concludes my report. Any members of the council or the public that would like to go into more detail on these budgets are welcome to make an appointment with my office. I thank you all again for your support, and special thanks to our department and division heads who work so well serving our public.
That's it?
I have several more pages. I certainly could read
Thank you
those
so
if
much.
like.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
was great. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Should I stay here for questions?
Yeah, do you want to do questions first
Sure.
and then move on, or
Okay.
do you want, okay.
Yeah.
So, anyone having questions on the administration report from council? Nothing from council? Anyone from public who has questions on just the administration report? Mr. Finelli?
First, let me tell you what I did. I looked at the budget presentation, which I got yesterday. Thank you. I didn't have a lot of time. And then going through it, I noticed you might have added or changed a couple of things.
I did. We're still
Okay.
working on our budget as of today. So.
Okay, so if I get it wrong, correct me.
Okay.
The first category is, I would prefer, because there's so many categories that you have on here, if we could answer each one as I ask it, so I can cross it off. Can you do that?
That's up to the council president.
No, you're the one doing the
No,
presentation.
No, it's her meeting.
It's me. Yes, if we can keep it to, a reasonable amount of time, yes.
I don't know.
I'll let you know.
The first question has to do with the buy-in brick. I noticed it was down 14,000. Is there a reason?
Down 14,000? I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Last year it was 1,141,000. This year it's 1,127,000.
Well, that number is based on the sales, so that is what people might be buying at the different businesses.
Well, I noticed that every year it went up, and last year it went up significant. This year it went down. I'm just curious, was there a reason?
Well, the resident tax savings was up $71,000, which is an increase of 13%, and we have more households and individuals registered. What they're spending their money on is really outside of our control.
Okay, but it did go down. Purchasing department, I just noticed that there's no change in salary at all. Did those people get pay raises?
If they're in a union, they receive their union contract amount. Their salary and wage budget did increase. I'm sorry if I didn't mention that. Increased 3.6%.
Okay.
Their operating budget increased 0.6%.
3.6%.
So which
Okay.
is a total of
You didn't
$10,000.
mention that. The next paragraph, which says 3 staff members are going for training, it's exactly the same thing as last year. 3 staff members are certified in the area of public, and 1 is going for training. Is that the same thing, another one's going for training this year?
Well, we do have a new person that is going for training, so she's starting in May. We had someone leave and someone else came in. So she is the new one that is going to the program in May, and the one that's enrolled in the program will actually finish this year.
Okay.
They've been so busy that they were not able to prioritize all of the classes. Occasionally, they had to bypass a session just because of the volume of work that they're doing.
Human resources, according to the numbers, which are not my numbers, they're yours. Last year, we had 422 full-time employees. This year, we have 431 full-time employees,
Okay?
an increase of 9. Also, under part-time, last year we had 140 employees. This year we have 178, or an increase of 38 part-timers. These numbers seem large to me. Are they accurate? Did we go up 9 full-time people and 38 part-time people?
Well, this is our snapshot in time, at the time we have put the budget together, at the time that the roster is requested for Mo to put into the budget. That's the number that's here at the time.
Okay.
So it is a number that fluctuates. So if your question is the actual roster, it would probably be different today than it was when this was given to her in December. It's a fluid number.
So you did these in December. I guess my question is, we as a public sit through these presentations, and we see what everybody asks.
Right.
When do we see what they actually get?
The budget.
But it doesn't go into this detail, does it?
The operating budget, which is used, this is used to create the actual municipal tax rate. So it's based on the roster at the time and any projections that we provide, say, if
So
the
I would-
roster is down, but you know you're going to fill that position, you don't remove that position from the roster.
So in order for me to compare this to that, I would need that book when it's done.
The municipal budget worksheet is the public document that is available, and if you wanted
How
to sit and go over
how many
the-
pages is it?
What, how many pages is what? This book?
The
It's
budget?
hundreds- This
when
is
it's done.
hundreds of pages. This one is hundreds of pages.
Oh,
It's
okay.
line by line, every single line item.
So
for
it's
every
it's
single
almost,
department.
I guess my question is, as a taxpayer who pays for all of this, it's almost impossible to see what you asked for. I can see what you asked for compared to last year, but I can't see what you got compared to what you asked for without going through that, which would take me my lifetime. Maybe there's a better.
We all go through it every year.
No,
Lot-
what you ask
page for
for is,
page.
what they ask for is what is printed in the book, is what is used for the budget, and that's what they got. So the discussions about, I need this is what I'm going to request, occurred before this was printed, and we did a significant amount of talking about what they needed and why, and where we could find efficiencies, or in some cases, add some items to this budget that were not included or maybe allocated to capital but shouldn't have been. So those conversations were all taking place for months leading up to the
Okay.
printing of this book. So
Well,
what they
I
asked
sure-
for is what they
I
got.
surely hope as a taxpayer that we did not go up 9 full-time employees and 38 part-time employees year over year, because I don't know how you would justify that. We're not growing in anything else, but we're growing by 47 people. That's a scary number, really. In a time when Brick is and is hurting so much financially, and the taxpayers are going to get whacked 2% a year from now until infinity across the street, that's a scary number. Licensing fees went up $878,000. That's up $384,000, or 78% from last year. I know we increased the licensing fees. That's a lot of money. That's a 78% increase. To me, that's another tax on brick taxpayers, right? I understand some of it's new construction, but a lot of it is people either redoing their houses, adding things, or something else, and paying that fee. And if I ask Mr. Scott how he felt about that right now, what would you say, George?
Mr. Finelli, do you have questions up here, though?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of increase. The 78%, that's a tax on the homeowners in Brick.
Can I ask, Mr.
Yeah.
Finelli, what budget
Where-
you're looking at? What department budget you're quoting?
Clerk, license fees. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you where
I think
was.
Lynette, Council President Crate would like to speak to that. Is that all
Yeah,
right?
Yes,
we
please do.
haven't had any increase in our fees in the clerk's office, in our licensing fees. We did sell a liquor license last year, and that's why the number is exorbitant
Oh,
compared to
so
last year.
that'd be 500 grand in there?
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
you're welcome.
I withdraw my last statement.
Thank you.
See, I knew if I asked questions, I would get answers. All right, I'll try to move along quickly.
Thank you.
Under finance, no information at all about salary and expenses. I guess we missed that one completely. I looked through it twice. There's nothing there about salary, finance, or anything else. maybe you could provide that later on.
The salary and wage budget for finance increased by $26,500, and they had an operating budget increase of $9,225.
26,000, do you know what percentage that is?
6%.
6%, okay. I'm going to get into percentages in a little bit. Data processing, just a question. It sounds like when we talked about security cameras in this under data processing, right, you gave all the numbers for security cameras, what we have right now, 105 cameras in 13 locations. But last year we had 123 cameras in 18 locations. Did we actually go down in the number of security cameras that we had?
They may have taken some offline for the purpose of refurbishing or strategically placing them in better locations. They've been spending a lot of time making sure the cameras are where they need to be and fully functioning. We had some that were not functioning properly, and I'm sure they took them offline.
Just the tax collector's office. This is good news, but I just wanted to wonder. The tax levy went from 233 to 236, that's up $3 million. 3 cheers for that. We collected $240 million. That's up from $226 million, or $14 million more you collected in tax revenue than last year. Can you tell me where that went?
It went to, it went into the township budget for reducing the amount to be raised by taxes.
We just absorbed it. Okay, that's $14 million right there. And then appeals went from 934 to 273,000. So that's down $661,000, I guess what you paid off in tax appeals. So that's another $661,000 that went into the budget somewhere, right?
That would have helped our reserve for uncollected taxes. So that would be
Okay.
less than we
Well,
would have to fund that.
that's a lot of money. In under the tax assessor, 2018, Brick had 3,400 residents receiving senior citizen and veteran property tax deductions. 3,400 in 2018. This year, number was 3,100, or down 300 people, about 9%. My question is, and you probably can't answer it, these people die or did they leave?
There'd be no way for me to answer that question, Mr. Finelli.
Well, I noticed that under licenses for marriages and debts, that number went down, so I'm assuming they probably didn't die, they probably left. I don't know that they did, but maybe that's something you want to look at, or you might have to wait till the census numbers come out to reinforce what I'm saying for the last several years, is people are leaving. And these are senior citizens. You had 300 less. It's not a big number, 9%, but they went somewhere, right? Did they go in the ground, or did they go to other ground? You might want to look at that, because I think they left. The same thing when you look at the provided services. You had 3,500 provided services, and now you're down to 3,200. That's the same 300 people. 300 people went somewhere. And the other thing was we had less grant money, which I'm a little disappointed, and you had 162,000, you went to 149,000. And just for my own information, and I'll be done, we talk about the municipal court, and we use the term filings. Does filings mean tickets? Summonses?
I don't think so. I don't think it just includes that. Right.
I don't know how municipal court classifies violence. It could be summonses, it could be other types of tickets that are issued.
Are you giving a kind of an affirmative, Joanne?
I am agreeing with the township attorney that filings includes more than tickets.
What would, give me an example of what it would include.
So like a green sheet, 2C, possession of marijuana, simple assault, those are not tickets, it's a green sheet because it's a 2C crime as opposed to a ticket.
There are also private citizens' complaints that are not summonses. They're brought by private individuals. That's probably included in there as well.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because I don't know what is a ticket and what isn't a ticket, but I do know that when it went up from 14,205 to 15,559, an increase of 9.5%. And that's an increase, if they are tickets, of almost 10% in tickets. And is that also an increase in revenue? And if it is, why don't we talk about that? Why isn't it in here?
I wouldn't equate increased funds with increased revenue because some of those violations, result in fines that don't come to the township.
Right.
Some are dismissed, some are private claims that is not revenue to the township. So you can't equate, even if it is number of tickets or something like that, you can't equate that to revenue necessarily.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from public on the administrative budget? Mr. Sluka?
John Sluga, 950 Sylvia Court. Just a quick question. The same thing that Mr. Finelli was asking about. The 38 part-time employees, that increase, like it's about a 25% from the prior. Is that like lifeguards and stuff? Why is it it's part-timers? That's a big increase, and didn't really say what they were.
Well, we use them for in a variety of ways, and we prefer to use part-time employees as opposed to full-time employees for the cost savings that they present. And we also use part-time employees as a way of, if we have a need, of determining if the need can be felt on a part-time basis. That certainly is better for us financially than full-time. So when we have voids in service, for example, if we have a department where of 6, where 2 employees are both suddenly out due to unforeseen circumstances, we will bring in part-time employees to help that department function until those employees are able to return. So that's why I was saying it's a
really
fluid
general,
number.
and
Right.
it's not one particular area and
Correct.
stuff like that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? Mr. Scott?
George Scott, Queen Anne Road. First of all, I wanted to thank the business administrator for making time. As she said, if anybody wants to make an appointment, I like to do mine beforehand and try to get a lot of the nitty-gritty out of the way. With that said, during our conversation, some of my questions, I missed 2 things that I'll let go, but one of the things that I did ask on the human resources where the liability claims are being reviewed biannually, I had asked Ms. Bergen about one of our township employees that cost us over $1 million, and I asked her how much money we collected, and a measly $57,600 out of $1 million, not a lot of money. So I then asked her if there was any other avenue to, that we could go down. She said that was a better question for the township attorney. Say again?
A better avenue for collection purposes, is that what
Yeah, so my question, I guess, Kevin, was, are there any other avenues to go as far as insurance, things that we might be covered on, or, it just seems that we got stuck holding the bag there. Blue Cross and Blue Shield didn't pick up any of that $1 million, and $57,000, $1 million, a couple of months in jail was, nonsense.
I can tell you, unfortunately, this is, there's no governmental entity that I'm aware of that has insurance to cover something like this.
Okay.
We did take, against that particular employee, we do have an order in place that requires repayment. I have done a review of assets to see if there's any avenue for us to collect, and there's, unfortunately, is not. That money is gone. Horizon doesn't, Horizon is not going to recoup us.
No property that they owned or anything like that we have a lien against, or we can
There's no property.
attach? There was no property. Person owed nothing.
Correct.
That's interesting. Okay. The only things I didn't ask Joanne. Joanne, can you enlighten me also in human resources? I have 2 questions. What is employee assistance program, and what is retirement Preparation training. God, I think if you're ready to retire, you should be knowing what you're going to do. What is that, and what does that cost?
Well, the retirement assistant training doesn't cost anything. That's a assistance that our HR employees provide. There is quite a bit that goes into retirement prep. Significant amount of, and most of it's done online through pensions. It's not as simple as you just announce you're going to retire. There's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of timelines, there's a lot of, there's just a lot of moving parts to queuing up your, retirement properly. And our HR department provides that service to our employees. Because it is so complicated and important, we are providing training to all of the staff members because we have one person right now that does that. And it takes up so much time that it's well suited for more of them to be able to provide this service. So it doesn't cost us anything other than sending them to training. The Employee Assistance Program is part of a service that we provide to our employees and we feel is a tremendous benefit because a lot of personal issues manifest themselves in physical ways that can lead to detrimental health. So we're big believers in providing assistance to employees if they are in a personal crisis. That or insurance provides up to 6 visits and it's completely private. I couldn't tell you right now who or if any of our employees were taking advantage of the employees.
No, I don't want to know who. I just want to know what it was.
So my point was it's a completely private individual process that we promote and make available to help our employees through difficult challenges in their personal lives which could impact their job performance and their health.
Okay. And last but not least, I also mentioned to Ms. Bergen with the amount of money that we spend on senior services, well spent, great job there. They get a lot of benefits out of it, and, kudos to that whole department, which I mentioned to you. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else from public on the administrative budget? Seeing none, close public. Thank you, Ms. Bergen.
You're welcome.
I'd like to invite Chief Riccio up to talk about the police department budget now.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Oh, back then again. Okay. The Department of Public Safety is comprised of several areas of responsibility. In addition to traditional police services, the department is also responsible for the management of police dispatchers, special police, emergency medical services, emergency management, crossing guards, and a number of community-oriented programs, such as the Police Cadets, the DARE program, Not Even Once program, Lead and Seed, CERT, which is the Community Emergency Response Team, Neighborhood Watch, and the newly branded Blue Hope program. Most recently, we started 2 new initiatives, which are the Cops and Clergy, and Because We Care, which are also being run out of the Community Policing Division. As of tonight, the department is staffed with 265 employees. That includes 135 sworn officers, 22 full-time and 4 part-time communications operators, 28 full-time and 15 part-time EMS personnel, 19 crossing guards, 23 Class 1 special officers, 1 civilian deputy emergency management coordinator, 1 radio technician, 1 fleet maintenance worker, and 16 civilian clerical staff. Part-time staff members are used to support the full-time staff members as well as to reduce overtime costs. In 2019, there were 92,676 calls for service, which is nearly 5,000 more calls than were generated in 2018. This includes 1,636 fire calls and 10,194 EMS calls. Officers responded more than 81,000 times, an increase from 2018 over 3,300 times. I will go through the department's budgets and highlight any significant changes. The majority of the budget line items have remained the same. However, some adjustments were made taking into consideration the previous year's spending or those required based upon the current collective bargaining agreement. The first area we will discuss is the main police budget. This year, the regular salary and overtime request is $20,670,000. It should be noted that the salaries of our clerical and support personnel are also charged to the police salary line item. Thanks to the support of Mayor and Council, our roster of police personnel has increased so that we are able to maintain the highest level of service to the community. In 2019, we budgeted $1,125,000 for police overtime. Of that, we spent $972,483.16. That is $152,516.84 less than what was budgeted. The requested amount for overtime will remain at $1,125,000. Although I do not anticipate a significant increase in overtime spending, I need to plan for situations which could arise, such as weather events and any other large-scale incident which could result in a need for overtime. For example, in 2019, we unfortunately had a number of large-scale tragic incidents which resulted in overtime costs which exceeded $90,000. These were, of course, unanticipated, but contributed to the rise in overtime costs in 2019. Had these incidents not occurred, we would have actually spent $64,322.82 less in overtime in 2019 than we did in 2018. The police supervision and command staff will continue to be conscientious of the need to reduce and keep overtime costs under budget. The police general operating budget for 2019 was $201,100. Of that budget, we expended $196,453.34, which is $4,646.66 less than what was budgeted. This year, we are asking for $239,300. The increase is to account for the purchase of uniforms for the hiring of new officers and to replace those that have and that will be retiring in 2020. In addition, I anticipate adding additional personnel and/or replacing personnel in our bike unit and honor guard. As a result, there will be a need to purchase or alter uniforms worn by officers in these units. The next area we will discuss is police dispatch. In 2019, $1,465,000 was allocated for dispatcher salaries. In 2020, the request is for $1,570,000. In 2019, we budgeted $180,000 for overtime, and of that amount, we spent $155,385.32, which is $24,614.68 less than what was budgeted. In 2020, we will be allocating $170,000 for overtime, a $10,000 decrease. It should be noted that we have since replaced employees that we had lost in 2018, therefore reducing overtime costs. There are only 3 remaining dispatch budget items. They are $2,000 for training, $500 for uniforms, and $100 for dues. Those numbers will remain the same. The next area is special police. We currently have 23 Class 1 special officers, which are now being used as booking officers and for courtroom security, as well as regular parking enforcement details. In 2019, we allocated $260,000 for special police salaries and spent $252,469.18. In 2020, we are asking for $270,000. The increase will account for the anticipation of hiring up to a full complement of 25 officers. The overtime budgeted in 2019 was $8,000, of which we spent $5,056.36. In 2020, there will be no increase, and the budget amount will remain the same at $8,000. The only other line items in the special police budget are for uniforms and equipment. In 2019, we allocated $10,500 for uniforms and equipment, and in 2020, we'll be decreasing the uniform line item by $1,725. We feel that we are able to decrease this line of the budget because we were able to recycle some uniform and equipment items. The next budget is emergency management. Last year, we budgeted $57,000 for OEM salaries. This year, we'll be allocating the same amount. It should be noted that a portion of the salary is paid for by grant monies, which are received at different times throughout the year. In 2019, we budgeted $500 for OEM overtime and spent $410.56. In 2020, OEM overtime budget will remain the same at $500. The only other item in the OEM budget is $500 to be used for training, which will remain the same. The next area is Police Cadet, formerly Police Explorers. The program currently has 16 participants who are overseen by 2 of our officers who are the program counselors. This program gives children from our community an opportunity to interact with the police in a positive way, while at the same time giving them the ability to see if they may want to pursue a career in law enforcement. In 2019, we budgeted $4,000, and this year the budgeted amount will remain the same. Those monies will be used for expenses such as annual dues, uniforms, competitions, and the costs associated with police camp. The next budget is police vehicles. These monies are used to replace aging cars, which are used by the patrol division. In most cases, the older patrol cars, which are still serviceable, are repurposed into non-patrol units within the department. In 2019, we budgeted $307,950. For 2020, the requested amount will remain the same. The next area to discuss is emergency medical services. Last year, we budgeted $1,740,573 for EMS salaries and $250,000 for overtime. It should be noted that the salaries for the part-time EMTs are charged to the overtime line item, but at a straight-time rate, not at an overtime rate. This year, we are asking that $1,903,865 be budgeted for EMS salaries, and that the $250,000 again be allocated for EMS overtime. It should be noted that in 2019, the EMS service generated $1,839,789.35 in gross revenue. The EMS operating budget was funded at $278,100. Of that amount, we spent $231,433.81. That was $46,666.19 less than what was budgeted. This year, we are asking that the $278,100 be budgeted for the operating budget, which is the same as last year. Next are the crossing guards. Last year, we budgeted $430,000 in crossing guard salaries and $2,000 for overtime. In 2020, we are asking that $490,000 be budgeted for salaries and again $2,000 for overtime. The only other line item associated with the crossing guards are uniforms and safety equipment. We were asking that $13,195 be budgeted for uniforms and equipment, a $1,095 increase from last year. The increase is in anticipation of replacing 2 guards, as well as replacing 15 jackets, which are a contractual requirement. That concludes the budget presentation for my department. I would like to take the opportunity to thank the mayor, members of the council, and the business administrator for your continued support. Without your support, we would not be as successful a department as we are today. I would also like to thank the men and women of my department who work very hard each and every day to keep our residents safe. Thank you.
Open to council for questions or comments on the police budget presentation? Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions or comments on the police budget presentation. Yes, miss.
Hi, I just have a comment. My name is Melinda Murray. I'm on Forge Pond Road. Over the last, say, 2 years, I had my father-in-law living with me. We had a couple of medical issues with our youngest and with him, where we needed to call 911. Police came in. These guys have upped their game to an unbelievable standard. There was a time, I'm here 40 years, there was a time, you guys were the last ones I would call. Thank you very much. The new officers, the young officers are just they're so well trained to deal with anyone in stress, anyone that elder, younger, in between, well, maybe on the older side, but I just want to thank you, because really there was that one time I thought I was going to just puddle, and it was your guys, your young guys that are young enough to be my sons, that really just said, okay, let's just get it together and it's going to be all right, and it was. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Anyone else from public? Mr. Finelli?
When I told my son what I was doing tonight, he told me to look around, and if you're outnumbered, sit down and shut up. So I guess I'm done.
I think that's probably a good idea.
I was never one for taking advice.
How about this time we list all our questions first, and then the chief will answer, okay?
Okay. Well, the first ones are just clarifications. Last year, you had 140 on the list, 140. Oh, first question is, just so I'm right in the future. I noticed last year we were calling ourselves the police department. This year we're calling ourselves public safety. Did we actually change the name, or they just?
No.
Okay. Called you anything but late for dinner?
Just want to change it so it was a little different. How's that?
I don't know. Last year, it said you had 140 sworn officers. This year, it said you're having 135. Did we go down 5, or was that just this transition thing you were talking
No,
about?
we had some retirements.
So you upped to 5 to cover for the retirements?
Now, we're at a lower number now because of retirements that we haven't replaced yet.
Oh, so what is the number going to be? Is it going to be 135 or 140?
146.
146?
146.
Is that an increase over
It's an increase of 4 officers.
from last year?
Correct.
And last year, it said you had 28 communication people. Now it says you have 26.
The numbers fluctuate. People retire, people leave, they take other jobs, and sometimes by the time we do this report, we haven't replaced them.
Okay. So, do you know what the final number is going to be?
We usually maintain that somewhere around 23. Usually full-time communications operators is around 23, and then we fill in the rest with part-timers. Part-timers only get paid, they don't come in regularly, they come in to cover for lunches, or if a full-time person calls out sick, then we'll call in a part-timer.
What I'm trying to just understand for myself is, you have the biggest part of the budget, and are we growing it? Is it getting bigger?
Not the communication operators, no.
Okay. Clericals went from 14 to 16?
Yes.
Oh, you went up 2 clericals.
Yes.
That's a good number. And overtime was up 22,000. All right, here's my first question. And clarify it. Salary request is $20,670,000. Last year, according to last year's budget presentation, it was $18,335,000. That's up $2,335,000. Or, if you do the math on this, it's 12.7%. The sheet says it's 6.2%. Why is there a difference? Is there a difference in the way you presented the number, what the number represented? Is one number including overtime and the other number not? That's a big difference.
It's including the total, because what we're requesting this year for salaries for police is $19,545,000, just the salaries.
Could I make a suggestion for everybody?
Mhm.
Take it or leave it. I noticed in a lot of these things, we do it a little different year to year, and it's just that much harder to understand where we're going. If we could do it the same way every year. And I notice when you look at the form, some of the wording is exactly the same. People are looking at it and just adding that same paragraph as it was last year. But when you change something like that, then it generates a question. If we could be consistent in what we do, or say what we're doing, it would eliminate a lot of the questions. Okay, so it's 19 million, not 20 million.
For just salaries, yeah.
Okay, that answers that question. Okay, in overtime, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, the township has an excess budget somewhere. You've got excess money somewhere, right? And I've said before, I don't like a big excess because that's taxpayers' money that we don't have, that you have. But you have excess money in your budget. If everybody in the department also requests excess money in their budget, that just compounds the problem. I noticed that you've 1,125,000, and you didn't spend that much, but you want 1,125,000 again this year. You only spent 900 and something thousand. I noticed the year before you went over it in overtime, so that money must have come from somewhere. And my request is that you have one excess, you people keep it, and if somebody else needs it, you give it to them. Not everybody keeping it. He has an excess, somebody else has an excess, and before you know it, there's twice as much taxpayer money sitting in excess accounts in case you need it. Right? I mean, 2 years in a row, you only spent less than $1 million in overtime, but you want $1,125,000. My suggestion would be give you $1 million and don't give it a $125,000. If he needs it, give it. I mean, the whole idea of a budget is to come into plan, not to go over plan and not have to plan for it. And in line with that, I'm just curious, you mentioned that we had 3 We had several large-scale events. Could you tell me what the large-scale events were?
Yeah, we had 3 homicides and 2 shootings.
Okay, one of the shootings being like the school?
Yes.
Okay. And when something like that happens, who has to authorize the overtime?
Me.
You? So, in other words, if you have the shooting and say it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and the day shift handles that, and then somebody's going to overtime, somebody has to come to you and say, we want overtime to do this?
It's collective. I also will allow my captains to make those decisions.
Okay. In which case, we go over overtime by $90,000.
Well, those kind of incidents cost money.
Dispatch salaries, $1,465,000 went to $1,570,000, up $105,000, or 7.2%. Last year, it went up 6.7%. You got 26 people in dispatch. That comes out to $4,038 per person. That's what this looks like to me, all right? The budget went up $105,000, spread it out over 26 people. That's a 7.2% increase, $4,000 over last year, a 6% increase, so those people in 2 years got a 13% increase. That seems like an awful lot of money.
Mr. Finelli, do you have any questions, though? I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. Do you have any questions? Because you're almost reiterating what Chief just read.
Yeah.
Instead of, well, what's the question?
The question is, why did the salaries go up? Why did that salary thing go up 13% in 2 years?
That's all you had to ask, because then he could get right to it.
Well, I'm giving the backup documentation.
But he just read the backup, so he knows what, he knows that, though.
He knows what he gave to this
He knows
year.
what his numbers are, though.
This year.
Yes.
Doesn't
I
know
think he
what
can answer
was.
the question.
I'm sure he doesn't know what it was last year, unless he has a terrific memory.
Chief, go ahead.
So
What is the question?
the question
your
is,
question?
why did the salaries in dispatch go up 13% in 2 years?
I don't know that that's 13%. I don't have a calculator, but if it's salaries, those are projections by the finance department based on everything with salaries is contractual.
Didn't answer my question. So, I mean, I understand contracts. Do we have contracts out there that are giving those kind of pay raises? As if so, why do we have that kind of pay raise? I mean, that in today's society, 13% in 2 years is ridiculous. The average salary increase last year was 1.2% in the financial world. We're giving 13%.
Mr. Finelli, are you,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it's all right. Just, listen, the 13, I'm not going to speak on what the salary increase is. You can have a comment, and that's fine. Did you have any other questions for the chief?
I just asked the question.
And he answered
Why
it.
no, we didn't.
He answered that it's contractual, whatever's in the contract, so. That's the answer, but that's the answer.
So my question over there was, do we have contracts that in 2 years are giving out 13%?
I'm sure if you wanted to make an appointment and look and see if what that was.
right now,
then
she can
you-
say yes or no.
No, the contract increases that these folks are ratified are 2 less than 2.5% for that particular union. So, to answer why it went, the budget, salary wage budget for dispatch went from 1.4 million to 1.5 million. I have to look at the roster and I have to look to see if it's funding something other than that. I don't believe that's a direct result of the contract negotiations, because we all know how they went, who you voted on.
I hope you all agree with me that that's a large number. I mean, these are not my numbers. I didn't make these up. These are your numbers, all right? And in 2 years, it went up 13.2%. I'd like to know why that is. If we're not increasing the number of people, we're increasing
Okay,
the salaries. So-
both presentations, we said, if you're interested in going deeper into what those answers are that we can't give to you right now at this second, then you're welcome to make an appointment and come in and ask
Or
those
maybe somebody
really
could just call
in-depth
me up and
questions.
tell me.
Or you could call and come in and
All right,
make
who
an
should I
appointment.
call?
Ms. Bergen,
Okay.
she's always here.
When would you like me to call?
At your convenience.
Any time after? I'm a retired person.
Well, during office hours would be appropriate.
Pardon me?
During office
No.
hours would be appropriate.
I mean, tomorrow, Friday, next week?
Call tomorrow. I'm making your appointment calendar for you, sorry.
Give me a date.
Tomorrow would be fine in the afternoon.
I'll make it, I'm busy tomorrow afternoon, I'll make it Thursday. No, I'll make it Thursday. Give you an extra day. Okay. Next question was EMS, just an observation. 2018, we had $2,109,000 revenue. 2019, we had $1,839,000 revenue, down 270. And I noticed when I look at 2018, it mentioned the fact that we went up a significant amount, but when we talk about 2019, it doesn't mention that we went down a significant amount. It just says what the number is. Was there some reason that we went down 270,000 or 12.8%?
Yeah, I had actually questioned the billing company on that, and my answer was that some monies that were owed from the previous year carried over into 2018, which we didn't have that same instance in 2019, so there wasn't money that carried over, or as much money.
Great minds think alike. We ask the same questions. So that means our billing and collection is better?
Yeah, this company that we're with now is doing a much better job of collecting.
That's good news. Good news.
You want to end on a high note there? Are you done?
Huh?
You want to end on a high note there?
Well, no.
No?
I had the same thing about EMS salary. It went up 5.7%. But I'll let that one slide. I noticed last year that in the presentation you talked about instituting a paramedic program. Did we do that, or did we not do that?
No, we've actually still been having meetings with the hospital because the Hackensack Meridian is actually taking that over now.
Okay.
For Monarch, I'm sure you read that. So we've had meetings with them. I would like to see that happen. We're not quite there yet. They haven't committed to letting us take over any type of program. I don't know that they will. I think that they are promising better service than what we've seen before. So, again, we're still talking, so I'm optimistic, but I wouldn't count on it.
What was your concern of having paramedic? We weren't getting good from somebody else?
Well, the staffing that they had with the other company, they weren't as available as often as we thought that they should be. So if we needed a paramedic and if they were in another town far away, our victims didn't have paramedic service.
Okay.
If we have our own paramedic personnel, then obviously they'll be here in town,
And if the hospital takes that over, that'd be good enough?
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
We're going to hold their feet to the fire as well. They're promising better service, and if they don't, we'll call them on it.
Right. My last category is crossing guards.
Okay.
And I had the same question about salary. Crossing guards 19 stayed the same. Salary went from $430,000 to $490,000.
Mhm.
That's a $60,000 increase, or 14%. Comes out to $3,157 per crossing guard
Well,
increase.
if you notice, well, you may not have those numbers, but we actually, when their salary budget was put together the year before, not enough was budgeted. We actually spent $454,000 in salaries, which was almost $25,000 more than what was budgeted.
Okay.
So in reality, it was a $30,000 increase.
Okay.
Because
I did notice that last year they got nothing in pay raises.
well, it was under budgeted.
Oh, okay. So that's really a two-year number.
Right.
Okay, I can live with that. And the last thing, curiosity, uniforms and equipment. I know last year we had a significant increase in equipment, wands and flashlights and signs and like that. This year it went up again, $13,195, comes out to $694 a person. And according to what it says, much of that is for new jackets. Can I ask what a new jacket costs?
I want to say they're around $300 a piece.
Okay.
But contractually, yeah, they get new jackets every
Okay.
2 years.
I can understand that because I can get a really good jacket from Cabela's for like $200, but it doesn't have all the iridescent. But this number comes out to $694 a person, almost twice $300.
Well, that's the jackets and the clothing allowance, and so.
Okay. Could I ask what happens next? Because I don't know if I understand. They did a budget presentation, and based on your responses when I was up here last, I got confused. So the chief puts in his budget request. None of you had any questions on either presentation, which is kind of surprising. Either you know everything or you didn't look at it. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, all right? But what happens next? He does, and I'm not singling you out, anybody sitting there. They do their budget presentation, you have it, now what happens?
Well, we have to go through all the budget presentations, so over the next few council meetings, you're going to hear from Parks and Recreation, you'll hear from Department of Public Works.
And you'll hear from me, but what, all right, after you do all of that, what happens?
We're, as a council, we sit and review, we have the large blue book, and we go line by line, and we review the entire budget as well,
Okay?
before we vote on it.
Oh, so this is not a rubber stamp, he gets what he asked for.
We have to review what's in the budget blue book.
Okay. And is there any feedback to the public at all about what you gave versus what he asked for, or what anybody asked for?
I can address the statutory procedure for adoption. I think it's what you're asking. The council, the mayor presents the budget. It's the mayor's budget. He presents it to the council for their review and approval. The council then considers it for introduction. They adopt a resolution if that, to introduce it. There's then a period of time, I think it's 28 days, 30 days, during which the public can review it, the council can review it, can comment on it, can question it, and then it gets set for a formal hearing for adoption of the budget, which will be, I think it's 30 days typically after the introduction date. So you figure 2 council meetings typically.
What my real like would be is sometime in the whole process, at the end of the process, you don't have to get into a lot of detail, but let's say the chief asked for a total of $32 million. And we gave him $32 million, or we cut it back to $29 million, or we gave it back to $28 million. Somewhere, so the public, the taxpayers, the people that are paying for all this, and ain't many of us here, know what you did with the budget. Did you give him what he asked for? Was it a rubber stamp? Did you cut it? Did you consider all these things? Did you consider where we are as taxpayers? I mean, did you consider this in your budget now? The amount of senior citizens in Brick, you know how many there are here, right? Right now.
Mr. Finelli, I'm going to just stop you right there. I appreciate your comments, but you can bring those back during public comment, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Anyone else on the police budget presentation? Yes, Mr. Scott.
Again, you know me by now, when it comes to money, I always have a question. First of all, I want to give my thanks to the chief. He also has an open door policy when you have a lot of questions. We are talking about a lot of money, and there was a lot to cover. In speaking with him, this year in 2020, we're going to put on 11 new police, 7 which will take the place of retirees, 4 will only be new. He explained to me, what the reasoning was behind that. I was okay with that. The only objection that I had, and it's really nothing that the chief could do about, is these 11 new people are going to come on with longevity. Again, the state has been complaining about it. Longevity was meant years ago when public employees, their salaries weren't anywhere near what private sector were. We're far past that. So that was the only objection I had with that. Where that's going, I spoke to Joanne. I had to make that comment. The overtime, I spoke to the chief. That was always one of my concerns. We discussed that in his presentation and speaking with Mr. Finelli. There's nothing you can do if there's a couple homicides and whatnot, $92,000 in overtime. It's just the way it is. Chief explained, even if it was a major weather disaster, you're going to have overtime. The only thing that I was, thinking about and talked to him about, again, at the end of the day, he accepts the buck. When it comes to the presentation, it stops there. But he has terrific guys that work with him. They all have to okay, the way he explained it to me, you just don't put overtime because you want overtime. It's got to really be deemed necessary. I would like to see it be, less, than it is, but I'm sure he's going to work on that. We went from, in 2015, $1,170,000, then it went up another $58,000 the following year, and now we're down in the 800 area. If we can do more. The reason I'm looking for more is we are putting on more personnel. The more people, in my opinion, like it is in business, the more people you have, the less overtime you should really realize. And I just hope that trickles down to, the police department as well. One of the last things, and I've brought this up in prior presentations, is the EMS. And I had the discussion with the chief, and we're both on the same page. We used to be in the plus. It used to operate in the black. We're not in the black anymore. But there are ways that we can go back to the black. Discussing it with him, and I didn't get a chance to go back to Joanne, it could be done through putting pressure on the legislative, the administration, you people up there that are in office. We have 3 people here that go to Trenton all the time. They should be hammering away that, paramedics should be able to be used by the township, not dictate to a third party where you can't use your own paramedics. You have to use a third party, and we don't get the revenue from that. They do. And that was poorly run. Monarch went bankrupt. And here we are at a point where we can negotiate, which I think would be a better deal for everybody, as a advocate for taxpayers, and always thinking about this. If there was any chance that I could partake in that, as part of the administration with negotiations, I would like to be considered, because I think it's really where we can make a big difference and go back to the black, where that budget would be operating in the black for a number of years, like it was for quite a while before we started going in the red. But Chief, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else from public on the police presentation? Seeing none, close public. Madam Clerk?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I'm
Consent-
sorry. Thank you, Chief. Sorry. I'm just trying to roll it on here. It's getting late.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Thank you. Resolution 5-1.
Recognize Patrolman Christopher DeMarco, Officer of the Year Award recipient.
Council Vice President Halloran.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution recognizes Patrolman Dan Kenny as the Chris DeMarco Officer of the Year Award recipient. Officer Kenny has been with the department since 2012 and handled more than 1,150 calls for service during 2019. Officer Kenny can be counted on to assist his fellow officers and serve as a field training officer for new hires. He never hesitates to volunteer to take jobs and is always willing to help out his fellow officers on any assignment. Officer Kenny is a member of the CERT team and the Honor Guard. Every year, the Brick Township Police Benevolent Association Local 230 bestows this award to an officer who works and lives in the unique spirit of Patrolman Christopher DeMarco, one of brotherhood, commitment to the safety of the residents of Brick Township, and dedication to friends, family, and community. Officer Kenny embodies the spirit of this award as part of his service to the Brick Township Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 5-2.
Recognize Lieutenant Thomas McNellis, Award recipient.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Thank you, Madam President. This resolution recognizes Sergeant Paul Catalina as the Lieutenant Thomas McNellis Award recipient. This award is given to an officer in a supervisory or specialty role within the department whose work, like that of Lieutenant Thomas McNellis, has been exemplary. Sergeant Catalina has been with the department since 2006 and was promoted to sergeant in 2015. Sergeant Catalina is the supervisor of the K-9 unit and prides himself on ensuring the Brick Police Department has the best trained canines available. Sergeant Catalina leads by example and shows tremendous diligence, dedication, and compassion in every aspect of his job. Sergeant Catalina is a highly trusted supervisor who exemplifies the attributes that represent the McNellis Award. Every year, the Brick Township Police Benevolent Association bestows the Lieutenant Thomas McNellis Award to a member of the Brick Township Police Department in a supervisory or specialty role who has brought public acclaim to him or herself, the department, or the law enforcement profession.
Thank you. Resolution 5-3.
Recognize the Stigma-Free Campaign.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution recognizes the efforts of the Brick Municipal Anti-Drug Coalition's support of Mental Health Awareness Committee of Ocean County in raising awareness about stigma, as it relates to mental illness, in an effort to reduce that stigma and barriers it creates to people seeking help. In an effort to create a supportive environment for those struggling with mental illness and substance abuse and addiction, the Township Council is declaring Brick Township a stigma-free zone.
Thank you. Resolution 5-4.
Support the 2020 census.
Councilman Menachino.
Thank you. This resolution supports the Ocean County Complete Count Committee to achieve a complete and accurate count in Census 2020. An accurate and complete population and housing unit count is extremely important to the residents of Brick Township. Census data directly affects how more than $22.7 billion per year is allocated to our state. Census 2020 is important to Brick as the data is used for important infrastructure improvements and essential programs and services for seniors, public health, education, transportation, and planning by government and businesses.
Thank you. Resolution 5-5.
Authorize emergency temporary appropriations.
Councilman Mummolo.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes emergency temporary appropriations for the municipal budget as needed through the end of May. Resolution allows the township to increase line item department budgets by the amount specified, which has been calculated to get the departments through the time till the budget's adopted. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 5-6.
Authorize road improvements to Lawrence Drive and Old Silverton Road.
Mayor.
Thank you. This authorizes the receipt of bids for roadway improvements to Lawrence Drive and Old Silverton Road, and this was approved in our 2019 capital budget. Just to recap, so our capital budget usually gets approved in June, sometimes July, and then that money is then available for use, and then the asphalt plants close, so then we can't really pave until the spring, so we're going out to bid for these two roads from our last year's capital budget.
Thank you. Resolution 5-7.
Authorize award of bid Adamston area roadway improvements.
Mayor.
Thanks. This resolution authorizes the award of bid for roadway improvements in the Adamston area to MECO Incorporated of Clarksburg, New Jersey, in the amount of $275,981. And the project scope includes milling, base repair, asphalt paving, replacing the inlet grates and curb pieces, reconstruction of drainage structures, installation of new curbs in selected locations, and replacement of existing concrete curb, restoration, and other miscellaneous work. Bid notices went out to 68 prospective bidders from our bidders list, and then 10 actually requested the bid packages. Out of those 10, six bids were received, and the prices ranged from the $275,981, which is being awarded to MECO, all the way up to $372,478.98. And we go to the lowest.
Thank you. Resolution 5-8.
Authorize award of bid roadway improvements to Riviera Beach Phase 2.
And one more time, Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Another road project. It authorizes the award of bid to Phase 3 of the Riviera Beach Roadway Improvement Project, again to MECO Incorporated of Clarksburg, in the amount of $286,306.60. This project includes the milling, base repair, asphalt paving, replacing inlet grates and curb pieces, crack sealing, cleaning of drainage pipes and structures, installation and replacement of concrete curb, restoration and other miscellaneous work for the project area, which is obviously in Riviera Beach. Bid notices again went out to the 68 people on the list. Out of those, 11 requested the bid packages, and 8 of those contractors returned them, and the prices ranged from the low, which we're awarding, $268,306.60, all the way up to a high of $482,332. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 5-9.
Authorize award of bid Public Works Emergency Diesel Generator.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the award of bid for installation of an emergency diesel generator at the Department of Public Works to DN Electrical Contracting, Linden, in the amount of $166,000. This project is being funded by a hazard mitigation grant made available from the New Jersey Office of Emergency Management. The project generally consists of furnishing and installation of a new 275-kilowatt diesel generator, new sound attenuated enclosure, delivery and installation of the new concrete pad, all electrical equipment, wiring, hookup, and labor, final testing of the generator, and associated site work. Bid notices were sent to 20 prospective bidders from our bidders list and 16 requested bid packages. 8 bids were submitted with prices ranging from $166,000 to $256,400. Resolution 5-10.
Authorize award of bid janitorial supplies.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the award of bid for janitorial supplies to the following vendors: Central Poly Bag Corp., Linden; Cooper Friedman Electric Supply Company, Monroe; General Chemical and Supply, Moorestown; General Linen and Paper, Point Pleasant; Interborough Packaging Corporation, Montgomery, New York; Pyramid School Projects, Tampa, Florida; Spruce Industries, Rahway; and WB Mason, Cranberry. Bid notices were sent to 38 bidders from our bidders list. 19 bidders requested the bid packages, and 10 bids were received. This is a 2-year contract beginning March 11th, 2020, and expiring March 10th, 2020. To date, the township has encumbered approximately $59,000 for the current 2-year contract.
Thank you. Resolution 5-11.
Authorize award of contract through New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Program for Microsoft Software Assurance.
Councilman Mumolo.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes contracts with certain approved state contract vendors under the State of New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Program. This resolution authorizes the township purchasing agent to purchase certain goods and services from approved New Jersey state contract vendors pursuant to all conditions of the individual state contracts.
Thank you. Oh, you going to say something else? Oh, I thought you said you were going to say something else. Other than thank you. Resolution 5-12.
Authorize award of bid CDBG Housing Rehabilitation Program Project Number 18-02.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
This resolution authorizes an award of bid to Premier Property Management, Beechwood, in the amount of $29,630 for a housing rehabilitation project as part of the township's Community Development Block Grant Program. Bid notices were sent to 32 prospective bidders from our bidders list. 6 picked up bids, and 3 bids were received. Premier Property was the lowest responsible bidder.
Thank you. Resolution 5-13.
Authorize award of bid CDBG Housing Rehabilitation Program Project Number 19-03.
Councilman Menachino.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes an award of bid to Premier Property Management Beechwood in the amount of $27,650 for a housing rehabilitation project as part of the township's Community Development Block Grant Program. Bid notices were sent to 32 prospective bidders from our bidders list. 6 picked up bid packages, and 2 bids were received. Premier Property Management was the lowest responsible bidder.
Thank you. Resolution 5-14.
Authorize award of bid CDBG Housing Rehabilitation Program Project 19-04.
Council Vice President Halloran.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes an award of bid to Premier Property Management, Beechwood, in the amount of $13,475 for a housing rehabilitation project as part of the township's Community Development Block Grant Program. Bid notices were sent to 32 prospective bidders from our bidders list. 6 picked up bid packages, and 2 bids were received. Premier Property Management was the lowest responsive and responsible bidder.
Thank you. Resolution 5-15.
Authorize award of bid CDBG Housing Rehabilitation Program Project 19-08.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes an award of bid to Premier Property Management Beechwood in the amount of $15,700 for a housing rehabilitation project as part of the Township's Community Development Block Grant Program.
Bid notices were sent to 32 prospective bidders from our bidders list. 6 picked up bid packages and 3 bids were received. Premier Property Management was the lowest responsive and responsible bidder.
Thank you. Resolution 516.
Authorize special events permit Relay for Life event.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Thank you, President Craig. This resolution authorizes a special event permit for the American Cancer Society Relay for Life. It's going to occur on Friday, June 12th, starting at 9 a.m. and will carry through till June 13th at 5 o'clock a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and it will occur at Windward Beach.
Thank you. Resolution 517, bond releases and reductions. Madam Clerk?
Yes, 517A is a performance bond release for Selman Savino Properties on Route 70 in the amount of $76,880.40. 517B is an inspection fund release for MBI 1450 at Route 88 in the amount of $260.74. 517C is an inspection fund release for TCB Associates and Harbor Road in the amount of $2,519.16. 517D is an inspection fund release for Robert Parisi Electric Contractor, Inc. for Route 88 in the amount of $880.33. 517E is an inspection fund release for Douglas R. Newman Electrical Contractor on Herbertsville Road in the amount of $450.80. 517F is an inspection fund release for Premix Seal Coatings, Inc., Lanes Mill Road and Route 88 in the amount of $966.23.
Thank you. Resolution 518, tax collector. Ms. Bergen?
Right, yes, that is tax collector.
Ready? We can come back to you.
No, I'm good. 18A, 100% DAB refund and cancel taxes for Block 92.03, Lot 1. 18B, 100% DAB refund and cancel taxes, Block 958.22, Lot 2. 18C is 100% DAB cancel, refund and cancel taxes for Block 1210.27, Lot 17. 18D is 100% DAB widow of veteran refund and cancel taxes for Block 1398.23, Lot 45. 18E are tax overpayments for the year 2017. There is one in the amount of $2,004.20. 18F, tax overpayments for the year 2020. There is one in the amount of $2,269.02. And 18G is a state tax appeal granted for Block 44.06, Lot 3. This is a multi-year appeal in the amount of $3,916.44.
Thank you. That ends our consent agenda. Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion.
Second.
Motion, Councilwoman Pontoriero. Second, Council Vice President Halloran. Open to council for questions or comments? Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions on the resolutions only. Mr. Finelli.
Only one question. The location that the generator is going in, what, Public Works, what goes on over there? I'm not familiar with that facility. What do they do there?
Public Works?
Yeah.
That's where we keep all of our,
Garbage trucks.
the garbage trucks,
and the garbage.
anything having to do with the Department of Public Works is all in that area.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
all those trucks don't need a $166,000 generator, so what
Well,
else goes on there?
it's through a grant, first of all. It's through a grant that we're receiving that generator.
Full grant?
Yes, correct? Is it?
There's
Yeah,
a match.
It's a match. It's a match grant, yeah.
Oh, it's a matching grant.
25%.
Okay.
25% town, 75% grant.
Okay, that's good news. So we're paying 25% at 166?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I still curious, what goes on there that we need a generator?
So they have to, when there's some type of whatever emergency is going on, that's why the power would be out. They're the ones who are doing the plowing. They're the ones who are with the police department, making the saves. And there's a whole GPS system for plowing. The mechanics are in there. They need the electricity for the mechanics,
Okay.
for the power equipment.
Is fuel in there also?
Fuel yes.
Fuel.
Yeah, the pumps. The pumps are part of it. The fuel pumps.
Is that for just the trucks or for the whole township?
So the equipment, DPW equipment, trucks, all that is DPW. The police and some like the engineering truck, like the town hall trucks, so to speak, the SUVs or pickups, whatever they may be. They're across the street at the school.
Do they have an emergency generator over there?
School? I don't believe so.
Not sure.
If we had a power outage, then all the rest of the township vehicles, would they be able to get their fuel at the DPS, gas and diesel?
Yeah, obviously, it's just, for the sake of saving gas, there's the facilities right there, but otherwise, if that was out, they'd have to go up there, yes.
I didn't know it was a grant, thank you.
Anyone else from public on the consent agenda? Yes, miss.
These gentlemen ask a lot of good questions financially. I'm concerned with my home value,
Can you just, I'm sorry, just pull the microphone
which
down.
is
Thank you.
recently, I just had 2 market analysis gone down, and it went way down. This stigma-free campaign, I don't know if you guys are aware, but you have a facility, I think when you're a junkie, there should be a stigma attached to it. There should be. You should be ashamed, you should be embarrassed, you should want to do better. We have a facility that was recently granted church status that takes people from Atlantic County, brings them up here, signs them up for Medicaid, is that? Welfare, Medicaid, Medicare, I get them mixed up. And then they keep them for 30 days in their facility here in Brick, or in their group homes here in Brick, and after 30 days they kick them out because they're not getting paid from the state anymore. And guess what? They're not in Atlantic County anymore. They're here in Brick. And this is going on for months and months and months now. So this is what NJSIAA is doing. So a stigma-free campaign, when we let people come in and bring people in from other counties, how much of a load do you guys really want to take on? I don't think it should be a stigma. You should be embarrassed if you're a junkie. You should want to do better. You shouldn't, what's a stigma-free campaign? Mental health, yeah, you have that problem after you start using, but this crap's been around long enough that we all know using is going to get you right here. And we're doing stigma-free, we're inviting them in. Giving them church status, we're inviting them in. After 30 days, they're kicking them out, and they're our problem. They're on our streets, robbing our cars. Their kids are in school with our kids. They're not driving them back to Atlantic County. They're leaving them here, guys. They're leaving them here. So I don't know, like I said, these gentlemen have a lot of good questions about financial responsibility, which quite frankly goes right over my head sometimes because I'm worried more about value of my home, which is just decreasing. I'm putting a huge addition on, and what the water company did and stigma-free campaigns are just putting it in the shitter. Excuse me, but it is. So I'd like you to maybe rethink that and call it something else. Go about it a different way, if it's possible. Thanks.
Thank you.
Madam President, may I have the floor briefly?
Yes.
Thank you. Ma'am, I heard your comments, and I can understand why you're making the comments, but I do want to make it clear that stigma-free campaign addresses many times a user uses or falls into a pattern of addiction in order to self-medicate an underlying mental health issue. So some people may become an addict or go into that pattern because of a fear of having a stigma attached to addressing their
I'm well aware, and
mental,
the long-term recovery rate is under 1%, ma'am.
Yes.
I lost 3 members of my family because they didn't treat their underlying mental health condition and unfortunately went into a pattern of addiction. So I understand why you're saying what you're saying, but I think it's important for our community's sake to not be ashamed or to have a stigma attached with getting help for their mental health needs so that we don't have more people who are abusing different substances.
Why bring them in, though? Why bring them in? We have enough here. Why bring them in? I got 3 walking zombies. I'm just waiting to put flowers on them so I know that they're at peace.
I hope.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, honestly. So I don't understand why you want to bring more in from a place like NJSIAA.
That's not the point.
It is the point because it's what we're doing. It's what we're doing. And it's bringing our school systems down. It's bringing our property values down. It's what we're doing. I don't mind taking care of the people we have. I don't mind doing that. I mind bringing more in when we can't take care of the people we have. And calling it stigma-free is inviting trouble, because it's not stigma-free, and it should not be.
We're going to agree to disagree on that issue.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else from public on the bill resolutions? Seeing none, close public. That's my spot, I'm sorry. Roll call?
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Menachino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Momolo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution 519, bill resolution, computer 2020.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Amended computer bill resolution in the amount of $1,647,150.28.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Motion from Councilwoman Pontorero, second from Council Vice President Halloran. Open to council? Seeing none, close council. Open to public on questions on the computer bill resolution. Mr. Scott.
We're back to money again. Page 10, if you can enlighten me, no heat in the teachers' union. What does that mean? Page 20.
Wait, page 10 or page 20? I'm sorry. Which page did you just say?
Page 10.
Page 10, it says, Dash Mechanical, no heat in the teachers' union, $400. No heat in the teachers' union, $109. Not that it's a big amount of money, but what is the teachers' union?
That's Civic Plaza. Ms. Bergen, go ahead.
That is one of the tenants at Civic Plaza.
Okay. They pay rent?
Yep.
Okay. And we're the landlord there.
Yes.
Page 20. Marine travel lift. I didn't get a chance to look at the bills with all the other things that came up. Estimate to repair. I hope it just wasn't an estimate for $4,400. Did it actually get fixed? I didn't get a chance to call the guy who runs Traders Cove.
Yes, it did.
Ms. Bergen?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so it was more than an estimate, it was the actual repair. Okay. Page 21, McMahon, Scotland, and Bauman, bankruptcy proceedings for a previous employee's bankruptcy, $4,140.
Council?
That's actually related to what you asked about before. There was a bankruptcy filing by the individual you were asking about. We were looking at that to see if there was any options to collect.
Oh, so that individual had assets then? Is that,
No, it turned out there were not assets in it, but what we did do was we also made sure that the judgment that was filed survived through the bankruptcy.
oh, okay,
And it did.
okay. Page 25, precise construction. I'm a little confused on that. There are three items. First of all, what is the Township of Brick in trust for David and Lori Huzak? 20 grand. And number 3 under that says consulting engineering, CME Associates. Are we paying CME through a third party? Why is it under theirs?
Yeah. Council President, should I?
Yes, I'm sorry, I was just trying to find it on the bill list. Go ahead. I
Okay,
just found it. Go ahead.
so, all of these bills, and I have to look to see why the invoices are worded that way, are towards the contract that they were awarded for the reconstruction of Bayside Park, which just started less than a month ago.
Okay.
The total contract was $722,000. This is their first payment. So there's some language on the invoices that is odd, but this is all for the work that they were hired to do.
Yeah,
for
I
that
mean, it
project.
looks like we're paying CME through a third party, the way this reads.
CME processes their bills, so they don't send them directly to us. They have to sign off on all their invoices that the work is a certain percentage done, et cetera, et cetera. So CME's name would have been on this as processing the bill for payment.
Okay, but you understand what I'm
I
saying?
do.
Okay,
And it's just semantics.
okay. And what is in trust for?
I have to look at the bill resolution, or the backup
Okay.
on the
I mean, I
invoice.
don't mean to
It's
spring that on
odd,
you.
it's highly odd, but
It
it's,
is.
it's,
Okay.
I'm sure it's just some sort of.
We'll let that one go to be determined.
Okay.
Page 26. Okay. Attorney Pool Township for lawsuit regarding Bill Jim. I guess through you, Council President, and the legal attorney here.
Yes.
Are we going to collect on this, being dragged into this?
This is not a collection matter. This was, we were dragged into this.
Yeah.
What this is, it's a lawsuit that was filed in federal court by employees of a subcontractor of Belgium. And their allegation, the employee's allegation is that they should have been paid prevailing wage, and they were not under the particular project that was at issue. They sued the subcontractor sued Belgium. Belgium then brought the township in. Belgium's theory is, we don't think prevailing wage was required under this particular contract we had with the township. By the way, we don't either. But if it was, then we're going to look to the township to cover those costs. Now, so we were dragged in as defendant. We're defending against that. I'm hopeful that we can get out, but right now we're in the lawsuit.
Okay, but I guess my point to my question is, again, employee sued, subcontractor sues Bill Jim in turn drags us into the lawsuit. If Bill Jim loses, I think we should recuperate our legal fees. That's my point. I just don't want it to go and give away $6,864 and possibly more as it goes on.
We most certainly are going to make a claim for legal fees, and I fully understand what you're saying. I can tell you this, what matters is what the judge thinks, and I can tell you this, that judges rarely award legal fees in contract lawsuits. They just don't do that in called the American system.
It almost gets to the point where it is a little frivolous. You know, you keep reaching out to deep pockets, and then we wind up getting dragged in for something we didn't even do. Okay. Again, I bring this up in the past. It's a local problem, but I understand we have to pay it. So on page, I think it's 26 and 27, where we are reimbursing a previous, I guess, a retired employee, $6,659 for Part B. I don't know, Ms. Halloran, do you pay Part B?
Yeah.
Okay, and so do I. And people that are on here, other employees that are retired, they're only getting $1,626, and I'm sure this goes back to the IRMA penalties that, you know, that are added to that we get whacked for. And I'm okay if somebody wants to go out and they do well and they have a $250,000 pension coming in, God bless them. But why should the taxpayers and us pay for this penalty when they're reaping in this money? Contract says we have to pay for Part B, pay for Part B, no problem. But one employee, $66.59, that's ludicrous. And it's not only here. You know, we're in the papers today, they want to save money with health care and this, that, and the other. This is $60-70 million if they put the nose to the stone and take care of business. Last but not least, page 29. Council President, standard alternative, another $29,750 bill. I thought we were going to move away from, are we still working on that?
We are.
Okay. Any idea, or are we getting further than?
Well, they were investigating a couple of options, and I think there is a meeting scheduled next week or the week after where they're planning on coming in with a presentation, but they told us it would take about this period of time for some of the options that they were investigating.
We're close to 9 months? I mean, how long is it going to take?
Well, it's complicated because everything relies upon JCP&L and what they will allow us, you know, to maneuver, because they're involved.
Yeah, I mean, between this $29,750 and on this same bill, Jersey Central Power and Light, $76,844, you know, we're forking out $106,594, but
We're
if we
hoping
can.
to renegotiate just as we did with natural gas, and we did better, and we're working on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. No computer. We're on computer. Any more questions from public? Great help. Seeing none, close public. Roll call?
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Menachino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Abstain CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumalo.
Abstain Meridian Occupational Health, yes to the rest.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution 520, Bill Resolution Manual 2020.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,812,603.85.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Motion, Councilwoman Pontoriero, second, Council Vice President Halloran. Open to council?
Nothing.
Closed council, open to public for questions on the manual resolution. Seeing none, closed public. Roll call?
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Menachino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Abstain CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we are up to our ordinances on second reading.
6-1.
6-1.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the acceptance of the donation of property known as Block 1428, Lot 2, for no consideration.
Thank you. Council Vice President Halloran.
Thank you. The Township Council's Land Use Committee reviewed and approved the acquisition by donation for this property known as Block 1428, Lot 2, for no consideration. This property is adjacent to a recreational area.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second. Yes.
Motion, Councilwoman Zapsik, second, Councilwoman Pontoriero. Open to council? Closed council, open to public. Seeing none, closed public. Roll call?
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Menachino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
6-2.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 168 of the Township Code entitled Engineering Permits and Standards.
Thank you. Council Vice President Halloran.
Thank you, Council President. The Township Council, yeah.
Do you want someone else to do it?
Got her or what?
The Township Council's Land Use Committee reviewed and approved the introduction of this ordinance to update 3 areas in the Engineering Permits and Standards Code. This amended ordinance includes reference to commercial parking lot improvements, which is currently under 4 different township divisions, including the reference to commercial parking lot improvements, puts them all in one place, making it easier for applicants and the engineering department. Additionally, this ordinance establishes a minimum bulkhead elevation of 4 feet and requires a permit prior to the start of construction of any retaining wall over 8 inches tall, as opposed to 30 inches. This height modification is consistent with the township's zoning requirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Motion, Councilman Mumalo, second, Councilman Menachino. Open to council? Closed council, open to public? Yes, sir.
Larry Reed, 475 Normandy Drive. Yes, you mentioned the 4-foot bulkhead. Now, what was it prior to this?
I believe 2.
So the 4 feet is above sea level? Or what are you measuring the 4 feet
Above
from?
sea level.
Is that accurate?
Is it?
Do you know?
I wasn't at that land use.
I believe it
meeting,
was
I'm sorry.
above sea level, that the reading.
So that's a new bulkhead?
That's a new 2 feet above what it was.
What it was?
Yeah.
Okay, how often do you review those requirements? And, you know, we've got this floodplain engineer coming in to do some work, and I'm wondering how that'll be impacted by their work.
I don't think this,
Their work will be
Won't be.
focused on what's happening in the roadways and going out from there. I don't think the bulkheads will greatly impact them, but we'll share the information.
Well, it's all part of this floodplain management, because I did bring in a sample ordinance from one of the communities further down on the other
Southwest.
barrier island. They call that, we don't have a name, but
LBI.
Long Beach Island, that it required the town to have that height, and then they didn't have to get a permit from the state to raise their bulkhead. So is that in effect here?
No, you still have to go through the normal requirements.
That's why they passed that
I
ordinance.
thought by doing this, we were taking that on. That was my understanding from Alyssa, that we were taking on the permit so that they didn't have
Oh,
to go to the
okay.
DEP.
I'm sorry, I
So
misunderstood.
I think Mr. Reed is correct.
Correct.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? Sir?
Ken Solon, 511 Broad Avenue, Normandy Beach as well. So another concern, resident of Normandy Beach around the flooding issues occurring, ongoing in our neighborhood. Last week, another very significant flooding occurred, high tide and full moon continues to occur. So questions back to maybe Joanne, if you can help me. I believe last meeting you conferred that the ACT engineers were contracted with.
I'm just going to interrupt you for 1 second. This is just on the,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's
This is
okay.
public.
I'll call you up first though.
I'm never going to remember what I said.
That's okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
This is just on the engineering permit. Stay right there.
Don't go too far.
Don't move. Anyone else from public on the whatever we're talking about here?
Ordinance.
The ordinance,
The second
thank you. I
readings.
see, it's catching. Seeing none, close public. Roll call.
Councilwoman Zepsic.
Yes.
Councilman Menachino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank
Now
you.
we're on to public comment. Madam Clerk?
Yes. All matters listed under item, please note, please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
Thank you. Sir? Just pick
Sorry
up
to go
where
out
you
of
left
order.
off.
Yeah, I'll pick up where I left off. Sorry. So my question, Joanne, was on the ACT engineering work that was contracted for. Has that started? Do you know? Have they been starting to do any of their work yet?
Yes, we signed the contract on February 25th.
Yeah, I know that. Saw that from the
And-
email. Yeah.
And they,
But have they engaged to actually start doing any of their work?
well, I'm not in their office, but they're authorized to work, and I'm sure they said they were getting started right away, but.
So then, just from my understanding, how long do you expect their work to take?
We didn't go over timelines with them because they have to try to get survey data from the state of New Jersey that hasn't been released yet, which would be very helpful to them. So their first approach was to meet with the state and talk about the urgency of needing that survey data. As we discussed, that is key to any plans that they put together for the elevations.
Are they going to be reporting back on progress as their oversight to the work
Yes.
that they're doing? Yes? And then on the outreach meetings as well that are to be planned, I haven't seen any schedule on that yet, so that's still to be determined when those
Yeah,
dates will
I
occur.
doubt we would schedule them until we were ready with the presentation.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to get my concerns on the record here as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? Sir, in the back?
I have a number of items here to follow up on. I wasn't at the last meeting, but I did see it on the YouTube video, which is very helpful. I'm sure a lot of people watch it as well, even though they're not here. The question was brought up about the recycling, and I think Joanne might have more answer on this. But in the budget for last year, there was a recycling tax. There was revenue from the state recycling tonnage grant, which for 2019 was $153,000. But there was also a tax, a recycling tax of $96,783, both for 18 and 19. Can you explain who we pay the tax to?
No, I'll have to look into that.
I'm sorry to bring it up. I should have called you ahead of time. But it's, this whole recycling effort, it was brought up that we're not getting the money for the recycled materials. So now, if we're paying a tax, we're probably paying the tax to the state or the county, I'm not sure. But that's kind of the question. So we're doing all this, and if we're not making any money on the recycling, it's a problem, right? We don't want to lose money on the recycling. In connection with the cans that were brought up, everybody is authorized to get one free full-size cans.
Correct.
And out on the barrier island, I live in Normandy Beach, a lot of the new residents got smaller cans. They did not get full-size cans. And it creates a problem because they can't get it all in the can. It's only picked up every 2 weeks, and as all the people on the water in Brick, they have a lot of people come down in the summertime. So when you have a recycling pickup every 2 weeks, you got stuff all over the street. So I brought it up in prior council meetings about having 2 pickups during the summer because our adjacent neighbor in Normandy Beach, Toms River, picks up recycling once a week during the summertime, every other week like we do during the rest of the year. So I would like to see the council reconsider adding the extra 5 or 6 pickups during the summer, because this stuff just winds up everywhere. And as we know, people are practical. If they don't put it in the recycling can and it's full, they put it in the trash. Okay, so instead of getting money, we're paying for disposal of trash by the ton. So instead of getting recycling tonnage, we're getting trash tonnage. And the fact that you put a couple trucks down there on Saturday to pick up whatever really doesn't cover it, because not everybody goes down there. Because if you have a big party on the weekend, when the truck is there on Saturday morning, do you know where the truck is? It's at the, you would know.
I know.
It's at the
Behind
substation for the
behind
place, police station.
Post company's
Yeah.
lot.
So what happens is all the extra recycling goes into the trash. A lot of the people have the small cans, not the large cans, and they should have the large recycling cans and exchange out the small ones. So this is an issue where you could be saving some money.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Ms. Bergen, was there a change in the size of the cans? That
No,
you know of?
I know that there's smaller garbage cans, but I didn't.
There's smaller recycling ones too. No, they didn't. What happened was, when they called up, because I had a couple neighbors go through this, when they called up to get their can, they were out of the big one, so they got the small one. And then when they wanted to get a big one, they said they didn't have any.
Okay, we have them now. Yeah, we have them now. So, all right, well.
That's just because you didn't have any, but every resident is entitled to a full-size garbage can, one, and a full-size recycling can.
Correct.
All right, we can get that note out to
that,
our residents. Okay, don't want to belabor the issue.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go over because I know other people do.
Yes, but go ahead.
I mean, if it's an ordinance and it's not being enforced, I shouldn't be the only one that has to go by the 5 minutes.
Yes, but we need to be respectful of everybody.
I understand. I sit through these other ones. Okay, going back to the overall budget now. when you look at the balance sheet, we have a lot of money in the bank, okay? My question is, what kind of interest rate are we getting on our deposits?
Tonight, we did department budget
I know.
presentations. The budget will be introduced at the next meeting, when we'll talk in more detail about
Okay.
those other line items.
There's
We
a
haven't
lot
even
of
looked at
accounts, and there's ways to make interest on these deposits.
that. Our
And-
CFO would be happy to go over that with you at the proper time.
Okay. One of the other items that came up at your last meeting was that, people make calls to the attorney, council members, and that runs the bill up. And my question is there a policy? Can any council member call the attorney for any reason, any time, or does it have to go through the council president?
It does, as far as I know, does not go through the council president. I have not ever had an occasion to call the attorney. I think it depends on if you're in charge of a committee and attorney review is necessary, then that person has the right, as the person in charge of the committee, to seek that counsel as needed. So land use has a lot of things that happen that need attorney advisement. That doesn't necessarily fall within the guidelines of a regular meeting that's held, that, they do more than not, the different ordinances that we pass have to do with land use, and a lot of that has to do with attorneys having to speak on that, so.
I don't think this was land use. Are you on land use?
Yes, I can assure you, it was most likely land use.
Okay, I'm glad you looked it up.
Yes.
Thank you.
I used to be on land use, I know, so it's a
Moving
lot.
on to the next issue. I agree with one of the prior residents' comments about bringing in people from Atlantic County to our county, keeping them here for 30 days and then turning them loose in our streets. Why are we doing that?
That's not a township, that's not a township group doing that.
Gen Psych is a private employer. They're a mental health agency.
Okay, so why would they relocate?
I don't know. This is the
People
first
up
I
here.
heard of it, and I'm going to look into it.
Thank you, thank you. Traders Cove, okay, since we are going to get to the recreation budget, a number of years ago, I had asked the question, what were the income versus the expenses at Traders Cove? They didn't have it broken out separately. They said they were going to add a separate account for that, so that at the budget presentation, we could see what the net operating income or loss was for our $23 million investment.
Well, I'll be long gone before that gets paid off.
I'm not asking it to be paid off. I just want to know what the income versus the expenses are annually as part of the budget.
Mrs. Bergen, isn't that usually part of the recreation presentation, budget presentation?
So they report on revenue versus expenditures of real time each year, how many slips, how many jet ski ports, how many kayak and canoe rental spaces versus what it costs to operate the marina. They do report on that, you are correct. What they do not report on is the debt service.
Correct.
How that impacts that.
We're not going to get that back, you're right. So I just want to know that there's going to be a separate reporting for that before we get to it.
There'll be a separate reporting on
Traders Cove.
Traders Cove and how it's functioning, revenue versus expenditures. But it will not incorporate the debt service.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Final item is Normandy Beach flooding. Obviously, we had another incident over the weekend where it flooded. I know the council and the town has been very responsive, getting ACT as an engineering firm. We're happy with that, with the hiring of them. We appreciate the attention. Obviously, with 150 people impacted by the flooding over there, there's differences of opinion about how to handle everything.
Yes, there is.
And there's differences of personalities and style.
Yes, there is.
And I think we are working together with you as a whole, and individuals have different opinions, different styles, and I just want to let you know that most of us appreciate your attention to this matter. Mayor saw you at the parade. Happy you were there down in Seaside. What it comes down to is I looked at one of the people sent us an email about what the engineering firm Flood Management people did down in Ocean City, and they did a lot of stuff, but they also raised roads. One of the issues we have is Broad Avenue flooding because it's got a low elevation. Regularly, the bay comes up to 2.5 feet. When it comes up to 2.5 feet, it comes over some of the bulkheads of homes that border Broad Avenue and floods the street. So I'm glad to see you raise the bulkhead heights, but I want to know what plans there are, since that's on private property, to have these bulkheads raised. That's going to be one of the issues when you start to address flooding. So somewhere along the line, that's going to have to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? Ma'am, in the back? Yes.
My name is Jeannie McCurdy. I live in Normandy Beach. I'm also here to address the flooding issue. Respectfully, we are concerned as a community that although ACT has been retained, we didn't feel that ACT was very well vetted, but I guess that's now besides the point. But over the weekend, it was really about the catch basins. And we feel that, you know, although you've reiterated that ACT is authorized to work, again, nothing's happened. Now, I know it hasn't been a whole lot of time between the authorization to work and this weekend, but I mean, I can't even get to my house. And it's a problem, and we feel that although we've heard from you, we really haven't seen any action that we really feel is solid action that is really going to help things. We realize this is a long-term solution. We realize that you as the council didn't create this solution, this problem. However, before we rebuilt for Sandy, we came as a community. I brought 10 people with me, and we had letters and pictures and everything else. And Brick said, and this was before your administration, Mayor Ducey, that after Route 35 was fixed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, our problem would be addressed. And so therefore, we decided based on that we would rebuild. And we spent a lot of extra money making sure we were at code, you know, all the permits, everything else we exceeded were there. And here we are again wondering, why did we rebuild? And we really feel that we're not getting the attention short-term and maybe long-term, yet to be seen, but the short-term, we're extremely disappointed. Again, I've had to stay overnight in hotels or impose on friends because I can't get to my house. And I think it's unacceptable that that we really still have, it just doesn't look like we have any solutions. I mean, at least let's clean out the catch basins and see if we can go from there, so that those of us who live in Normandy Beach, either part-time or full-time, we're full-time taxpayers, can have some remediation of this long-standing problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? Mr. Sluka?
John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. I'm going to read my letter dated March 5th. Dear Mayor Ducey, Council President Lisa Crate, all the councilmen and councilwomen, residents of Brick, and basically all of Ocean County. Is it that impossible to do what you can legally to force the New Jersey Turnpike Authority Commissioners to do the right thing, which is what council people said years ago they would do the right thing, and mitigate some of the ill effects that have been brought about to our residents by the destruction of the environment near and on the Garden State Parkway? The bureaucracy that is ingrained in the government locally, statewide, and nationally will obviously do nothing without being pushed. But in Brick, those being harmed by the toxins, the noise, and various other dangers surrounding the Garden State Parkway are all either workers of Brick or residents of Brick. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority Commissioners has harmed our lives in various ways and will continue to do so as long as we only make meager attempts to force them to correct the problem. Occasionally, a politician shows a small amount of support for the wall around the Evergreen Woods condo area, and that is nice, but the rest of the brick continues to suffer as well. It's not just Evergreen Woods. It is our representatives continue to act like Congress, beholden to political parties, instead of acting like representatives of peoples. Nothing will ever get done. Political parties just seem to get in the way, cause heartaches for us all. And I don't care if you call yourself a Republican, a Democrat, or whatever you want to call yourself. If you cannot do what is right for the people who elected you, in reality, you should just step aside and let somebody else do it. It is time to act as real representatives and help the children avoid asthma. It is time to act as real representatives and help the pregnant mom not have an autistic child. It is time to act as real representatives and help the workers and residents of Brick not develop COPD. It is time to act as real representatives and help the seniors of Brick not die from various heart and lung ailments. As mentioned many times, some taxpayer-paid employees would rather not face the truth that the toxins flowing off the major highways, including the Garden State Parkway, are harming our children and all of us. Many studies have been brought before this administration, studies, articles, and reports detailing the problem associated with high traffic areas are a part of the public record. It is long past the time when government officials should have acted to honestly represent the people of the community. I mean, it's never too late to do so, and to step up and do the right thing for all our citizens. We all should do what is best for all our people of the community, and not for the bureaucracy and those few here with political influence. A high wall up to 20 feet, plus a vast, high and thick replanting of brush and trees is needed on the Garden State Parkway adjacent to Evergreen Woods, but also adjacent to Brick High School, Primrose Gardens, Sutton Village, Lanes Middle School, Greenbrier, Town Hall, and Birchwood Park, and actually other places in Brick and Ocean County as well. And to do this in order to correct the problems caused by what was considered illegal actions of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority's commissioners. The facts are that some bureaucrats do not want to hear the truth, but the toxins are killing our seniors, harming our children, and hurting the development of babies yet to be born and mothers to be. Yes, some may be afraid of the truth, but they are only fooling themselves, while others believe the bureaucrats of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority and other influential people who are profiteering at the expense of tens of thousands of Ocean County residents. It is time to seek the truth, not just listen to me, but find out for yourself, and act like representatives of people and stand out, speak up, act with forethought and understanding at every council meeting and every public engagement. Thanks for your help. Truthfully yours, John Sluka. I yield back 45 seconds.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? Sir, in the back?
Good evening. My name is Bill McCurdy. I'm also from Normandy Beach. I have a few questions about the ACT engineering firm, and I'm assuming that Ms. Bergen, you can answer that.
That's up to the council president.
Oh, okay.
Bergen on those questions.
I'm assuming that the ACT people are a coastal engineering firm. Yes?
Yeah, so you, I don't know if you're on that chain of emails.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so if you notice, there was, I don't know who it was, but it was a female, sent an email saying, look what Ocean City did, look how great they are.
Right.
If you read that actual article, it's all about...
I didn't read the article, but I read the synopsis.
Yes, but the whole article discusses how what ACT Engineer is the engineer down there, and they're the ones who designed did the dredging, did the flood mitigation and all that. So they have that experience, and that was what was I found a little comical. The person was writing, trying to attack us, but it was actually the engineering firm that was hired in order to do that. I didn't respond, of course, because I don't want to get in the back and forth. But if you go back and read that article, it's all about ACT Engineering, what a great job they did, which is what this woman was pointing out, not knowing that it was ACT. I guess I don't know if she read it or not, but it was actually all about ACT Engineering and their experience with the mitigation.
And how do we know how long that took them to perform that job?
It was a long process. They were down there for months and months, yeah. So
Oh,
they still are, they're still in the area.
Not years and years, but months
I'm
and
sure it
months.
was years before the projects got done.
Okay.
Yeah. But the plan comes first, and then the projects come after.
Okay.
They were great at getting the funding, and it was about how they had connections with helping out with the ideas of how to get the funding.
Okay.
And everything. And that funding is for the projects, and as we all know, just paving a road takes,
Okay.
2 years almost.
Our immediate concern, and we addressed this months and months ago, are getting those valves in the sewer system working or replaced.
Yep.
And that hasn't happened yet. And that's been the primary problem of the most recent flooding.
Mhm.
It hasn't been any rains or full moons. It's been coming up through the sewer system, and it's been flooding the streets. We need that to be done sooner than later.
Yep. The council is committed. It's going to be in the capital budget. It's there. So what we have these flapper valves in different areas.
Right.
And none of them work. They would get jammed, they would break, they'd fall off all the time. Then we finally, this company, I don't remember the name of it anymore, I'm sorry. What is it? WarPro, yes, thank you. They came in, they said, ours is so great, we'll give it to you for nothing, you gotta try it out for a year, and the thing works great.
Okay.
So those are the ones we're purchasing in our capital budget.
Okay.
So everybody's committed to that,
And
earlier.
do we know when that's going to happen?
So it would be the June capital budget, and right after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we were very clear on articulating
Yeah,
that timeline because we didn't want to set unrealistic expectations of seeing something happen in an unreasonable amount of time.
Right.
We explained the process and the timeline for the capital budget, which is unchangeable for a municipal entity, and that is the only way that we can spend money, but the money is in the capital budget as of tonight's Business and Finance meeting. We have to finalize that, introduce the bond ordinances, have a second reading and hearing on the bond ordinances, and then wait the statutory amount of time before we could spend the money. So that timeline is unchangeable, but it's in place. And that is not
So
until,
what is realistic, do you think?
for the valves, not
Yeah.
until, so by the time the capital budget is released, we have to actually make the purchase and do the installation. So you're looking at summer.
So sometime in the summer then?
I would think fall, but.
Yeah,
Or the
okay,
fall.
late summer, early
Late
fall.
summer or fall, okay.
And we have an idea that that's going to work because if you remember, we first put in the one bladder at the one area. Or I don't know if you remember or not. I'm not saying, I shouldn't ask if you remember, but we put in the one bladder in the one area, and the water still came up because the rest of the areas weren't blocked. Then we went back out, put bladders in all of them. The water stopped, but then we had a big rainstorm on a Saturday, and then there was one woman who got flooded out because obviously the water couldn't go down because the bladders were in. And so she, not got flooded out, but I mean, her area was flooded, and then there was a request that came in to remove all of them. So we removed all of them, but the flapper valves are things that open and close. So we know that they're going to work. To me, I thought it was a little better with the bladders in because then it's fresh water as opposed to seawater. But we just do what the residents want. So we're taking them in, taking them out. We're trying to do everything we can per request.
Okay. And per what Larry was talking about regarding the recycling buckets, yes, everyone in the last, I would say, 7 or 8 years, who have gotten new buckets, they've all gotten very small buckets. And they're unmanageable because we only get a pickup once every 2 weeks, as opposed to Tom's River that gets it every week. And there's no issues there. And with the flooding, we desperately need to have these recycling picked up. When there's flooding and there's buckets out there, either the trucks can't get down to pick them up, or the buckets fall over, and we've got a mess, an absolute mess. That's the reality of this, twice a month pickup, and so the small buckets.
I'm not aware of any reports of non-pickups. That's the first I'm hearing.
No. I'm not saying non-pickups.
Oh, okay. You said
I'm
the
just saying.
trucks can go down.
No, what I'm saying is that they only come twice a month.
Right.
Okay,
I thought you said
instead
they
of
don't
once
come
a
down the
week.
street. I'm sorry.
And because of the smaller buckets, there's no place to put them. And when it floods and we put them out there, they get tipped over and there's a mess because of the water. Or for that day, because of the excessive flooding, the trucks can't get down the street to do a pickup.
See, that's the part I've never heard of
Well, they
before.
come back, they do come
Oh.
back and do eventually pick it up, but it's a mess because, and it's because of the flooding and the once or twice a month pickup.
Yeah, I didn't know, I haven't heard about this big can shortage and all this. It's the first I'm hearing of that, too. So
Yeah, and
if it doesn't
whenever,
come up-
and I've called the town and said, look, I've got a big bucket, but it's not enough, I need a smaller bucket, and they said, no, you've got one. And they said, well, you can buy one for, I think, $150 or $200.
$65.
You know, it's,
Yeah,
you know,
but
as far as I'm concerned, I shouldn't have to pay.
For a second.
For a
Quite
second
quite
can?
frankly.
For a second can?
For a second bucket.
What, imagine imagine the tax rate that would go up if you gave everybody a second
Imagine
can.
the taxes I'm paying. Imagine the taxes what
You-
Normandy Beach
you'd be
residents
paying more.
are paying.
I'm not sure I understand the
We're
logic.
paying an excessive amount. We decided to reinvest in Normandy Beach because we were promised these issues would be taken care of, and they're not. And, you know, we feel like we're getting, you know,
So you want a
not our
second
fair-
second
we're not
can
our
for
fair share.
33,000 households? That would be quite substantial on the tax bill.
I know what I pay in taxes. I just,
Right.
I,
That's based
if
on the
I,
property of the house.
if I'm asking for, because Brick Township has decided to just keep it limited to twice a month, and
Right,
they don't want to
again-
give me an extra bucket for my recycling.
Again, if we had weekly pickup, imagine the tax increase in that. We'd have more trucks, more guys. I mean,
Well, they come
You have to
around
be
every week,
conservative.
and they do come around every week and pick up at the Bay Beach House, which is part of Brick Township. And every Saturday, they're there. It's once a week, they do come to the Bay Beach House, but none of the private residents.
That's one truck.
That's
two
one
guys.
truck. And they pick up, I don't know, about 10 cans, roughly 10 cans of recycling. So that's done every week throughout the summer.
And that's the only place in town we do that. So for the
Yes.
folks that live up here, they don't even have that opportunity. So we try to be equitable with the services that we offer.
Yeah, and then, you know, whenever I have an excess, I end up having to drive my bucket to the two recycling guys by the
that's what we
police
do,
station.
too. I mean, some people who live on Adamston will go over there to that one, but otherwise, people go to the Hill, up on, off of Sally Ike.
Okay, I don't know about that. I
I mean, that'd be far for you to drive.
I go to
That makes
I
sense,
go to the
but-
substation, and I'm grateful for having them, and those guys are great, because
It's
they
the same.
go above and beyond as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, they're great at the Hill, too. They're awesome there, too. Yep.
Okay.
It's a much further ride for you.
Okay.
As the Barrier Island, I wouldn't go all the way out there because of where I live. But people on Adamston, I'm sure it's closer for them just to go out to the Barrier Island than would it be all the way up to the Hill. It just depends on where you live, which kind of Saturday pickup you would go, or drop-off you would go to.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else from public? Mr. Finelli?
We're getting there. Just on that issue with the cans, you have an opportunity to fix the problem, very simply, all right? It sounds like some people didn't get a big can to start with, and they're supposed to.
That's what I agree with, 100%. That's
So,
why I'm like, what's the deal?
All you have to do is contact the association, tell the people, everybody that has a small can and wants a big one, put them out on day X. We'll pick up your small can, leave your big one, and we're done.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. That's
Okay.
not, there's no
I didn't
controversy
hear
over
that
that.
commitment.
Oh, we talked about it earlier.
Well, you know.
So
Okay.
you're going to do that. And then you take the used little cans, and when somebody needs a little can, give it to them for free. You got them.
Can't
That's all.
give them for free,
That's
but-
the end of the
We're not
issue.
gonna do that.
I don't think anybody's saying they want to pick up every week. They want a big
No, they
can.
are.
Okay?
That's what they're saying,
That's what they're-
which is a lot of trucks and guys, yeah.
Yeah, all right. First of all, thank you for the feedback on the SCI issue. You and Joanne, I appreciate you getting back to me. Second of all, just a question on the bulkheads. I have a bulkhead that's 22 years old. It's going to need to be replaced sometime in the near future. Am I going to have to increase the size of it by 2 feet?
If you replace it, yes.
All right, and what is that going to do? Besides increase my expenses?
Probably nothing.
No, absolutely nothing. I'll tell you why it's not going
Because it's going to leak around your neighbors.
Right, my neighbor just put a steel bulkhead in last year.
50 years, when all these bulkheads finally finally get replaced, maybe 75 years, maybe we'll have 2 feet higher than what we have now.
So, but that's going to create,
We responded to it, we raised the level.
so now I'm going to have a wall in my backyard, right?
Well, it's that or water. They'll grade it.
They're going to grade my yard? Then they have to redo my,
They're going to be digging, do you know how dead men are put in, things like that? So they'll agree.
and then they're going to move my sprinkler system on top of it?
Well, that's where you have sprinklers. That's very nice.
Yeah, but they grade it. And what I'm saying is, I'm going to have to incur the price, and I heard that the state, if you change the size of the bulkhead, has a big fee. And basically, changing one bulkhead isn't going to do a damn thing. Because like you said, my neighbor put a steel one in, and it's going to come right around. So, I mean, it's just creating a bigger problem for the people who live on the water, who pay more taxes. Yeah, well, not my type. All right.
2 weeks ago.
2 things I just wanted to share with you, just so you know, in my attempt to keep you informed. This past week, the governor announced $5 million more for the school system. Peanuts when you look into the grand scheme of things. And what that is for STEM teachers for private schools. Right? And what the plan is supposed to be, that is a private school can go to a public school and say, we need STEM teachers on Wednesday afternoon, and we'll pay you X amount of money to come to our school and teach that. Right? So they're not going to hire them, they're just going to rent them. Right? Sounds like a good program until you figure phase 2. Who has 127 private schools with 36,000 students in it? Lakewood. Where's the money going to go? Not here. One other thing that's going on, and then I just want to make a comment about the coronavirus. Several times you heard me complain because in your last contract, you put a clause into it that said if the medical expenses went up for your employees, they didn't have to pay it. Which means if they don't have to pay it, we have to pay it, taxpayers pay it. And I said that's not fair because you're not sharing the pain. If it goes up for you, it goes up for me, I have to pay mine, and now I have to pay theirs too. Now here's where the problem starts to really get big. And this is an article that was in the paper today. I won't read the whole thing, just parts of it, so you understand. All New Jersey public school teachers may be offered cheaper health insurance plans under a deal that could save taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars at a cost of thousands of teachers. They would offer 2 health plans expected to save local school districts $670 million a year for 7 years, and save NJSIAA members $403 million a year. $403 million a year. At 116,000 teachers on the payroll, that comes out to a saving for the teachers of $3,040 a year on their medical insurance. New Jersey Educators Health Plan will have payroll deductions tied to a percentage of their salaries as opposed to the current percentage of their premiums. In other words, right now teachers pay a percentage of their premiums up from 3% up to 35%. Your salary is considered, but you based it on the percent of the premium. Now they want to change it to a percentage of their salary. So if I'll read this part. It's no secret that our members have suffered a great deal under Chapter 78, which imposed unsustainable and ever-growing health care costs on them. Of course, they didn't put that on me, did they? Just them. And this is the President, Marie Bislin. So the plan is we're going to save them all the money by letting them not have to pay a percentage of increase, just a percentage of their salary. And then the taxpayers are going to save money. How?
This is more appropriate for the school board, what you're talking about right now.
I'm talking about because we did that. And
Okay,
I'm just
but
informing you.
But that bill has nothing to do with...
It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all baloney.
But
Because
that
if they
bill
don't pay
you're
it, we
talking
do.
about has nothing to do with township workers. That's strictly for teachers. That bill you're talking about.
I tied it in when I started because you people did the same thing. You did the same thing. You did it a different way, but you did it the same thing. And my point is, your people don't have to pay their increase in medical expenses, so the taxpayers do. That's a smaller problem, but now that many more teachers, there's over 800 teachers here, and if that goes through, that problem is just compounded. Now I have to not only pay yours, but I have to pay theirs, and oh, by the way, I have to pay mine too, and mine is going up ridiculously. And one last thing I wanted to say, you're all aware of this coronavirus, and I'm not asking what you're doing or anything else. First of all, just on the humor side, does anybody know how this coronavirus started? Huh? No. Well, you'll love this. It started because the people in that town started eating bats. Oh boy. They started eating bats, right? Yeah. Yeah, right. They started eating bats. Yeah, now, we ought to take all the bills we have and send them to China and let them pay for this. Now, I don't know if you know anything about bats, but bat death is a serious problem in the United States because of the white nose virus, right? And that's been going on for years, and they haven't figured it out. They don't know what this white nose virus is, but it kills all the bats, and bats are good things. You know, you eat all the bugs and everything. Huh?
Unless you're eating them.
Unless you eat them. Yeah, well, let me know when you're cooking them. I'll be right over. Right? Now, what is the meaning of this? Senior citizens, we're going to see the new census and how many senior citizens we have and everything. Senior citizens rely on their pensions and everything else to survive, and they're not getting big increases in anything like everybody else, the 5%, the 6% that I talk about. Nobody on senior citizens are getting that. Where are they at right now? The senior citizens are going to get hit worse with this virus. They're more susceptible and everything else. But the stock market right now is down 4,000 points. I don't know how long it's going to take for that to come back. But people that rely on their retirement accounts and everything took a big hit. So they're going to be hurting even more, plus all the other stuff that's going on. You need to consider that when you're doing your budgets for this year, what impact it's having on everybody. I am trying to get you people more involved and across the street. And I know it's not your problem what goes on there, but it is your problem because you represent all the taxpayers in Brick. What happens over there happens to everybody. And when you're doing your budgets and you're increasing your spending and you're raising ours, think about what's going on across the street where that's going to go up 2% a year. If nobody allows anything else, that's going to go up 2% a year probably for the rest of my lifetime. That's how bad it is, and you know that. Right.
Thank you.
By the way, the school board meeting is next Thursday, right? Not this Thursday?
Okay.
Did you know that?
I don't have my calendar in front of
Well,
me.
I had it down for this Thursday, and so did somebody else. So
I have something every night.
I'm wondering
so
if they changed it, or you knew what the date was.
I don't know. I look as the day comes. So.
The last thing I want to thank you for, I know that these meetings go a little longer because the budgets and everything, and we have a dialogue, so I want to thank you for allowing us to do that, but it's important that we can do that, right? That when it comes to the budget meetings, you have more tolerance. Put up with me.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? Ma'am?
My name is Roxanne Jones, and I live in the Laurelton section of Brick. Recently, I've read in a paper about how a young man responsible for a shooting a while ago in Herbertsville was arrested. And I also heard from someone off the record, it's another citizen, that there are gangs in northern Brick, like the Herbertsville section. Now that has me very concerned because I like living in a safe area and I like, living in the Laurelton section where there appears to be no problems, but is there really a gang problem? And if so, what are you guys doing about it? Last thing we need is to have lawlessness like that overtake our city, town, and now destroy us economically and otherwise.
Did you want to comment, Mayor?
Sure, thank you. So the chief started a new street crimes unit, which takes into account street crimes. So if it's drug dealing, if it is, if there is some type of gang relation, they have a special unit that's specified to what they call street crimes. So basically, they took the special enforcement team, and they took the drug enforcement unit, combined it. Now there's more manpower, there's more equipment sharing, and they've made, since he started that program, they've made 26 arrests around town. Most of it is, a lot of it was drugs over at the Wawa. It was a lot of stuff over here at this adult bookstore. Whatever the street crimes are, these guys are doing, men and women are both, they're doing a great job in getting people off of our streets and getting them in trouble and getting them arrested and everything else like they should. But going back to the young man, he was arrested very, very soon after the shooting. He just pled guilty. That's what you heard about recently. But he was arrested way back then. They did great investigations, worked quickly, and got him off the streets right away. He just pled guilty. That's the reason. So he wasn't just arrested now. He was pled guilty now.
Okay, thank you very much. May the town and the police keep up the good work.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? Ma'am?
Hi, I know it's late. I just want to ask you guys to keep something under consideration. Thank you for sending me. I was asking you, with all the rentals we have, a while back, I asked you if there were any fines to the landlords, and you did send me that information. It is up to the state. It can be up to $5,000, but my interpretation was that $5,000 kind of stays in a fund, and then if there's no more activity for a certain period of time at that home, the landlord gets it back. So my question is, can you guys put in one ordinance, or think about putting in an ordinance that actually does fine the landlords when there are more than two? Like, the way it reads is, if there's more than two convictions at an address, you don't even have to live there. They have to be convictions at the address. So if somebody moves somebody in who's not on the lease, and they get caught found guilty of domestic violence, drugs, whatever, it could be they moved out and somebody else moved in. The landlord's not taking care of who he's renting to, or she's renting to. Can we put in an ordinance as a township that fines the landlord? Can you guys think about that?
So, yeah, that was our idea. We implemented a few years ago, and it's our ordinance that's on the books about the landlord.
Can you tighten it then? Because it kind of reads weird.
So the attorney, he can speak for himself, he's here, but he did a lot of research and contact with the state, and we made it as tight as we could per their guidelines. They wouldn't let us do other things. We actually got special permission. That type of ordinance is only allowed in beach communities. It's called that. In those communities, it's called an animal house ordinance.
Right.
And they don't consider us a animal house type of town because we don't have a college or a beach. But you can speak for yourself. But he was able to get the permission and push them as far as he could.
Don't we have like a lot of beach?
Yeah, but we don't have that like.
Yeah, we're not considered a beach community under that ordinance. But
a Daytona Beach.
No, like Belmar or Seaside.
Or Point Pleasant Beach, right.
Well, it's getting there if we keep letting them go and we don't try to tighten it.
We did adopt the ordinance, and the ordinance is I think it's pretty effective. I think the only distinction you're making is you're saying, can't we fine them? We have to put the money aside.
Yeah, it seemed like we had to put it aside, and then if nothing happens for a period of time, it's more like just leaving it in a bank account that isn't getting interest. And if you're more careful of who you rent to, or they don't get caught, they get the money back.
Yeah,
so it's not really a fine. It's like a bond, I guess, or something, right?
No. What it is we're not permitted under this ordinance by the state to fine people, but it's, I think, just as effective because you mentioned the number of 5,000. What happens is the landlord has to pay the township $5,000. The township can't take that money. The township can put it into an account, and the purpose of that is, in the event there's another incident at that, we have to put usually our police resources out to that, and it's regarded as an extraordinary effort because they're going there again and again. We can then draw on that for purposes of paying for that extra cost that we incur. So what it's designed to do is to give an incentive to the landlord to not have us go back out there again. So they give us that money, $5,000, which is a big number for a lot of landlords. What it tries to encourage them to do is,
either get the tenants out who are a problem or not rent to tenants who will be a problem. And
But are we following through with that? Is there
Yeah.
somebody who is
we-
saying this is how much money we got from that this year, or how much we offset our overtime, or how much we offset our officers with all this budget stuff going on?
I can tell you in one particular location, it was out in the southern part of town, over near Adamston Road somewhere, and we find a landlord, and the landlord was, I think it woke the landlord up, because the landlord was shocked that they actually had to pay that money. That tenant was then removed from the property, and we have not had a call to that property since, meaning they're still renting it,
Good.
renting it to good tenants. So that money was ultimately returned to the landlord because it really accomplished its purpose of, under the ordinance to.
But you are allowed to use it to, like, if the police are called in excess, which would be what, 3-4 times in a week, a month, where they can,
No,
you
it's-
can use it to...
It's once. Then
Okay, so you can use it.
Right,
All
right.
I don't, maybe the chief would know. Maybe if I call, like, he would know how that works. I don't know. Or would that be you, Joanne? I don't know.
No what?
About how much money that we've collected and how much we've actually used and how much we've actually given back to landlords.
So another way, just adding on, piggybacking on, so another way that it's effective, and this has happened, where a landlord gets that, so the first conviction happens, so a landlord gets a warning from the town, says, hey, if this happens again, you're coming in before the animal house judge, prosecutor. So what they've used, the landlords have used that piece of paper that they
Right.
get as the warning, and they file eviction papers, and the judges in Ocean County, the landlord-tenant judges, have taken that as evidence of eviction, because it's very hard to evict somebody.
Yeah, it is.
A non-payment of rent's probably the easiest, but but for anything else, it's difficult. But the judges consistently have held, well, wait a minute, this landlord's gonna be on the hook for $5,000, according to this, this warning paper. So I am gonna grant this eviction because that landlord shouldn't, so the landlords use it as well, to get the bad people out.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's.
There's just one more
Good.
thing, and I'm going to be quick. I live on Forge Pond Road. I'm about 300 feet from the water company. I was not notified of the buildings they were building that I cannot not see from my backyard, my Florida room, my kitchen, and 2 of my bedrooms, and they look like 2 buildings out of Westgate. They took down the trees. Why other neighbors didn't complain when they had a 2-year notice, you know when I knew about it? When I got home from Florida and I saw them up. That's when I knew about it. It's my understanding, I went to the water company, any further building from the well to where the back gate is on Forge Pond Road will be from the well towards my house, which is supposedly a bird sanctuary, but if you're taking down all the trees and you're not taking care of it and you're letting all the vines kill the rest, so now I've lost part of the sunset, which was one of the major reasons I bought the house. The other one was, had my father-in-law with me, and the other one was I wanted Old Brick School for my kid. Those were the 3 reasons. So now I'm also in the middle of putting on quite a large addition before they started going up for my parents, which is why I was in Florida. So I had 2 market analysis done based on what the house is now, not what the addition is. One came back 50,000 less, the other one came back 69 less. These things are eyesores. So what I was asking you guys is maybe another ordinance or code where if somebody has to say it, I mean, 200 feet, the way that road curves, I'm not the only house. That's brought down my property value tremendously, and I'm going to ask to be reevaluated in my tax assessment for that. There's probably 30 to 40 houses like that you just can't not see them. They own so much property, they could have put them somewhere else. I know they can't move the well more than 150 feet. There's legalities there and stuff. But now they got big tanks out there. Looks like, it doesn't even look like what, it looks like, it's horrid. It looks like you took Westgate and Jackson, 2 of those buildings, and slammed them on the side of my house. No trees. They're going to plant trees. Are they going to do what the Parkway did and put twigs in there? I'll be dead long before I don't see them or hear them. So could you guys maybe take under consideration that, like, 200 feet isn't a lot of feet when you're putting up a 2 or 3 story building on curves, or I'm looking at you, right? You're my sunset. You're no longer there. You're all gone now. Now I got that brown wall straight up there. That's what I got with these itty-bitty little windows, and apparently it looks like what a huge some kind of water tanks inside, but it looks like Westgate. I mean, I'm sure it won't have the toys that Westgate has outside of it, but it looks like Westgate. So, like, can you maybe take into consideration it could be 500 feet or within, If it's going to be 2 stories, if people within a certain area can see it, they need to be notified and then have the opportunity to say, hey, you have all this land. You can't put it on the other side of your municipal building? Maybe there's reasons they can't, but I wasn't given the opportunity to ask that because I'm about 275, 300 feet from them. Could you guys take that under consideration, or do you want me to write you an email, or?
Could I
Yes,
address that?
Counselor.
I think what you're talking about, because I'm not sure if everyone here knows, the 200 feet is the notice required. When someone's going to do a land use application, they have to measure 200 feet around the property, and those are the people that are required to give, they have to
Around
give,
the property where they're doing the actual building, because if they had to do around their property, I would have been notified.
around the property where they're doing, right.
Right, because if they had to do the whole property, I would have been notified, but only the building, which means I missed it by like that.
Right, and
But I
when-
got to look at it for the rest of my life.
Right, when you file a land use application, certified mail or personal delivery to people within 200 feet, and then publication like in a newspaper is done theoretically for everybody else. The council does not have the authority to expand that obligation.
That's a state thing,
That
too?
obligation is set by state law. It's the municipal land use law requires the 200 feet, and that's all that we can require people to do.
Really?
Is go within 200 feet. We can't
Could I
extend.
ask the water company council that, for the courtesy of, because they're going to be building more. That's a definite. They already told me that. For the courtesy of maybe them putting something in place, since we appoint somebody there, could I do that? Would that be?
You can ask them. You can also, talk to our planning board, zoning board secretary, and they can tell you where notice is going to be posted on our website, because we want people to know about it as well.
Yeah.
So we have processes too. So if you're interested in knowing, that might be a good avenue as well.
All right, good. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Good night.
Thank you. Anyone else from public? Seeing none, close public. Ms. Bergen.
Very relevant based on our budget presentation, so
Sure.
I wanted to first thank the Township Council and obviously the public for your patience in our lengthy presentations tonight. They're clearly 2 of the longest ones that we'll have. But I wanted to elaborate that the budget process is 100% guided by how to best serve our residents, not only from a service perspective, whether it's collecting garbage or maintaining a park, or issuing licenses, having recreation programs or senior outreach, but also from a financial perspective. Because we do recognize that our expenditures matter, and as department heads, we have presented budgets that aren't a wish list of what we want, but are truly a representative of what we need to serve our residents. The budget process, as you know, you've all been very involved, started months ago, where the CFO, purchasing agent, and myself met with every single department head and went line by line over each operating budget. Should I wait until they're done, or? Thank you. Budget process started months ago where the CFO, purchasing agent, and myself met with every single department head and went line by line over their budgets. We looked at last year's expenditures, projected what would be needed for 2020, and we developed budgets that are as practical as possible to predict a year out. It's a well-thought-out, strategic, diligent approach to developing a budget. In public service, so much happens over the course of the year that you cannot predict, but greatly impact our budget. We don't over-budget. We adapt accordingly based on real-time events that occur and changes that create overages and underspending in the department line items. We have presented a budget. We have not presented a budget with fat. We've trimmed the fat already. Because that is our responsibility to you and what you have tasked us with. There is no pocket of money for us to dig too deep into if we have any challenges throughout the year. There's just our budget. So for tonight and all subsequent presentations, I want you to know, as I'm sure you do, we have spent many hours reviewing and adjusting to be as fiscally diligent as possible. You council members, you all know this because conversations on cost and expenditures are part of our daily dialogue. And the public may not realize that when we have these presentations, but I really wanted to point that out because from a practical matter, working with all of you every day, all day, every day, we talk about the budget in every meeting and every opportunity. So I wanted to explain that this wasn't throwing targets at a wall and rubbing our hands together to see what we could, get from the budget. It was much more pencil sharpening and tightening out of respect for what you have tasked us with, which is to come up with the tightest budget as possible. So I thank you for your patience, and I look forward to continuing to work with everybody on a fiscally responsible budget.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you. I just have to give a coronavirus update since it is all over, the news and everywhere else. So we're working closely with Hackensack Meridian, which is, Brick Hospital, as well as the County Department of Health, in tracking, the latest events that are happening, taking their advice. So their advice at this point is just basically cover your coughs and your sneezes with a tissue or into your sleeve. Don't use your hands. Don't touch your eyes, nose, and mouth when you're out in public. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially before eating or after going to the bathroom, blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. Keep your children at home when they are sick. Children should not return to school unless they've been fever-free for a period of at least 24 hours. Avoid people who are sick. And clean and disinfect frequently, touch surfaces and objects. So here in Town Hall, I know we've stepped up efforts a couple times a day. They're doing the handles of the doors and the door handles. Same thing. Handles of the door, I'm thinking outside and inside door handles. Yes, so we're doing those, and anything else that gets touched frequently is being cleaned. So that's the latest update, and there's it seems like it's happening all over the country, and now it's here in New Jersey and Monmouth County, so it's getting closer, and I'm sure it'll probably be here. Second, I wasn't here last meeting, so I'm going to take a little extra time tonight. February 25th, I was down getting an award, 2 awards actually. So the New Jersey Recreation and Parks Association had an award ceremony where Brick received 2 awards. One was for Bernie Cook Park for being the best designed park in the entire state, and the other was for our recreation brochure, which is really Ed Maroney, of our public information officer here. And thank you for all his hard work. The park design was done by CME Engineering, and it was also done by Fifth Pocket Design, which did the skate park. And it's a really amazing park because they fit a lot of things in there. We kept on going back saying add this, and it has everything you need over there at Bernie Cook. So congratulations also to our Parks Department and our Recreation Department, led by Dan Santinello. So this Thursday, I will be testifying before a Senate committee on about the school funding and the issue and the effect that it's going to have on our town if they keep up with this plan of S2, which is S2, again, reminding everybody it's a mandatory 2% raise every year for 7 years, and at the same time they're doing that, they're cutting state funding to the tune of $22 million over that seven-year period. So I'm going down to testify to the Senate how bad of an effect, obviously, that's going to be on Brick. Our census is coming up. So we have a number of events here in Brick in order to have that opportunity to complete the census. So as of Thursday or Friday, you should start getting the information about it in the mail. You can always mail back the paper form that comes to you, but they are encouraging people to complete this application, census questionnaire, I should say, online. A lot of people do not have computers. There's people who do not understand English as well, so they probably aren't understanding me now, but hopefully somebody that they know can explain to them. We have a couple different events going on because we need a complete count because our federal funding and CDBG money and a lot of other things are dependent upon the amount of people you have. So you need a complete count to make sure everybody is taken into consideration. March 18th is our first event. That is going to be right here at Town Hall. It's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and it is bilingual. We will have a Spanish-speaking person there to assist. March 24th is at Senior Services from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So there's a number of seniors that go to our senior services, obviously, and a lot of them do not have computers. They do not have laptops, but they will be available there for them to use with the assistance of our senior services personnel, but also our census personnel will be there as well. March 25th at the PAL building from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. This way it's at night. Again, bilingual. That's at 60 Drum Point Road. April 1st at the Civic Plaza from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that is our official census kickoff, even though we had these other events going on. That, again, is bilingual. at Civic Plaza, which is on Chambers Bridge Road, 270. April 8th is at Town Hall from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., again bilingual. And then April 9th is our last one. It's at Senior Services from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. For more information about the census itself, go to 2020census.gov. But those are our BRIC events to hopefully get the full count of everybody, so we get all the funding that we deserve. The mayor's mock trial happened here. It was between Brick Township and Brick Memorial. It's a yearly event where kids put forth a trial with witnesses, and our municipal court judge, Judge Grisanti, donates his time, volunteers his time. And this year, Brick Memorial won. Congratulations. Something really awesome. I'm sure some other council people will be talking about it, but the first school district arts festival took place last week at Brick Township High School, and it was really, really great. I mean, it was really impressively done. The artwork by the kids, from first grade all the way up through high school, was unbelievable, and the performances were good as well. And it was just an awesome event. Everybody should try to go to it next year, because I'm sure they're going to do a second one, because that's how successful it was. Lastly, our senior services will host their annual St. Patrick's Day party on March 17th, on actual St. Patrick's Day. You do have to register through our senior services, 732-920-8686. And I just want to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Starkey? Okay.
Nothing, thank you.
Yes.
Nothing.
Okay. Councilwoman Zapsik.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to thank the Girl Scout Junior Troop 263 for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, and I also want to congratulate the Brick Memorial Girls Bowling Team for their championship. On Saturday, Councilwoman DeYoung and I were invited to participate in a program called Voter Girl that was hosted by the League of Women Voters and the Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore. It was over across the street at Brick High School, and it was in recognition of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment granting women the right to vote. We had over 300 girls from Monmouth and Ocean counties participate in the event to promote civic mindedness and the importance of voting among our young women. And I just want to congratulate the League of Women Voters and the Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore for an excellent first time out with the program, and thank them for inviting us to participate. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Menachino.
Thank you. One thing, and for you guys that stayed the whole meeting, the girls bowling team, I went to a bowling outing 2 weeks ago, and this young lady that bowled 224, it's impressive, because with bumpers, I barely broke 100. So, very impressive, and I want to end the meeting on a positive note, so yeah, congratulations to them and everybody else, so thank you.
Some of us didn't even break 100.
That's awesome.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Thank you. I am happy to restate for the Buy and Brick program from Mrs. Bergen's presentation that the residents this year saved over $71,000 in rebates, which is up 13.5%. So for businesses that would like to participate and join the Buy and Brick program, please reach out to Darren. And if you don't yet have your Buy and Brick card, please reach out to Darren. He's in administration. And I just also want to echo Councilwoman Zapsik's sentiments about the Voter Girl program. It was really great. League of Women Voters did an amazing job, and the Girl Scouts were awesome. I had juniors actually in my section. They had to do a project about the branches of government, and the executive, and the legislative, and the judicial. It was like this huge project that they had to do complete within like an hour, and it was amazing that they understood. It was amazing to see how much they understood about the process of government, of who people were. Like, they knew people that I didn't even know, and what they did, and what they're studying either now in school or through Girl Scouts is really, really impressive. So I highly recommend, if you want to get your girl involved in the Scouts, please reach out to one of the troops, because it's a great program, and I just want to thank the Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore and the League of Women Voters again. Thank you. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you. Councilman Mumolo. Make it quick.
Great job. Congratulations to the Brick Memorial Girls Varsity Bowling Team. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Done.
Bam.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
I
echo everyone's comments and happy St. Joseph's Day, in addition to St. Patrick's Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Halloran.
Thank you. Just thank you to Ms. Bergen and Chief Riccio for their great presentations, always very informative. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Helps me clarify everything. And congratulations to Patrolman Dan Kenny and Sergeant Paul Catalina. See, you guys are really bad.
We just, we're all worn down here.
Wait, I'm not done. Congratulations to them and safe journey through their careers, and please be safe out there. One thing, since Mr. Reed, you're still here, you made it through till, what time is it?
It's late.
10:14. Great, I congratulate you for lasting this long, but just a tip, I got some information just actually today at lunch. Someone told me that Congressman Andy Kim's going to be in Seaside Park tomorrow night at a meeting. And I know for a fact that one of the topics is the flooding in Seaside Park. So if you want to ask a question or find out, because he's been aware of the flooding here, if you want to ask a question, that you might take advantage of going down there. It's at the elementary school on Central. I don't know what time. You can probably call Town Hall and they'll tell you.
Call Andy Kim's office.
Yeah, or call Andy Kim's office.
Actually, I think I read that due to the abundance of precaution around the coronavirus, that it's going to be a teletown hall, so it's going to be a call-in.
Oh, you don't even have to leave your house.
I'll see if I can pull it up on my phone, and I'll share that with you, Mr. Reed.
Yeah, I heard from somebody who's an official there today that it was still on for going there, but you may be correct. You may have the more recent information.
Councilwoman.
But other than that, St. Patrick's Day, please be careful, don't hurt yourselves.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it? We're good?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you to Ms. Bergen for your presentation. It was one of the best. I was riveted.
Riveting.
Also, Chief Riccio, who I failed to thank while he was actually still sitting here, so I apologize for that. Congratulations to our officers, Officer Kenny and Sergeant Catalina. I just want to say that through the Kids for Canines program, we've had the opportunity to work 2 years in a row with Sergeant Catalina, and we have nothing but respect for him and the way that he treats the public and the girls that work with him. We have nothing but the utmost respect for him, and he's well deserving of this reward. And finally, I just want to mention really quickly, as the veterans continue to raise money for the monument outside, I want to announce that on March 22nd from 1 to 5 at the DFW, we are hosting a spaghetti dinner fundraiser, which will include, I'm guessing, all-you-can-eat spaghetti. I believe there will be wine there, and a 50-50 raffle. So please come by sometime between 1 and 5 on March 22nd and help us raise those funds so that we can get our monument ready for Memorial Day and the parade where we have our ceremony. So hopefully we'll see you there. Our next scheduled meeting is on Tuesday, March 24th at 7 p.m. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All in favor?
Yes.
All right.